don't even give me any information on him. Okay, whatever.
What's going on, everybody? It's the MMA Bet Surgeon here with my boy Dan. We're doing a full fight breakdown, full card breakdown here of UFC on ABC, and that's why we had some mic difficulties. We had a title difficulty as far as what it was and if it's a fight night, because I don't know if a lot of people have seen, but they're putting out posters that it's a fight night. You know what I mean? Like they're doing all the kind of shit that they would do to make it seem that it's a fight night, but apparently it's not a fight night. We all know it's on ABC, but we all consider it a fight night. You know what I mean? Most people will consider it a fight night and not. I don't know, man. Dan, what's your opinion on that whole thing?
Well, yeah, I think it's more so they're probably just saying fight night is not a pay-per-view, kind of. But yeah, it is obviously confusing, especially with all the ABC shit and especially with the 10 events in 3 days. Like, who even knows what everything's called?
What's going on, Ben? Just you wait. One day we're dropping the link to you, and we're gonna title it "Interview with a UFC referee, a current UFC referee," and that's what we're gonna title it. What's going on, Brett? How's it going, man? We're just shooting the shit till maybe a couple people get in here, and then we're gonna start with this first fight. This first fight, actually, we'll just kind of touch on it a little bit. I'll start kind of touching on it a little bit, just because I don't have as many notes on it as I do other fights, and they're not as organized. I wrote these ones down by hand, and I typed the other ones, and these ones are actually a lot harder to read. I don't know how before I was reading off my notes with my handwritten notes with all chicken scratch, just trying to fit it on one page.
But
we got a featherweight.
No. Let me say this. Let me say this first. We just got. Let's let. You were right. Let's have a couple of people more join in, and also boys hit the like button. But congrats on hitting 40 subs.
Huge.
And also, like I said, let's talk about Mike Perry. Congrats on the child. Did you hear what he named it?
Isn't it named
him?
Is it named Ocean?
That's correct. Ocean Perry.
Okay. I was gonna say, good luck to that child.
I didn't know if you saw that on the Twitter.
Did you happen to see the videos he was posting the day before having the child?
What, was his leg bleeding out on the floor of the random hallway? I think that might have been. It could even have been potentially the hospital when she was giving birth. He's just being his crazy self, kicking in the door to the hospital. Could have been. No, I feel like he probably would have got some medical attention sooner than that. Actually, he got it. He was pretty bad. Like, man, fuck. Like,
oh man, I hope he's gonna be.
God bless him. God bless that. Good luck to that kid. It's gonna be an interesting life with his How old's that? His wife, girlfriend? Are they married? Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think they're married.
Is she younger than him? No, it's just.
Oh yeah. Oh, what are you talking about, bro?
How much younger is she than him?
I think she's like 21, bro.
Really?
Nah, she might be older than that. Let me look it up.
This is really not worth our time, but I will talk about it in the meantime.
Well, I just didn't know. I honestly thought that you didn't know.
The fact that, well, it doesn't even matter. I think I've definitely seen her before, and the one thing, in my opinion, she's not really for me. That's all I gotta say. But as far as...
That's not even what I was talking about, but whatever.
She doesn't look like she's 21. That's what I'm kind of trying to say. Like, if I looked at her, I wouldn't say, oh, good for him. She's so much younger than him. Good for him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not a bad-looking dude. He's got face tats all over himself, though. You know what I mean? He's rocking the face tats, and he's a nut bar. But
yeah, I was just going to say, not bad-looking, but he's a psychopath. But it's okay. That should not be in the UFC at the moment. Obviously, like, skill aside. But, okay, let's... yeah, that's enough, Mike Perry. That's enough.
Okay, so for this first fight here, we got a fight between... And this is at featherweight, 145 pounds. We got a fight between Austin Lingo and Jacob Kilburn. Austin Lingo 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. Jacob Kilburn also 5'9" with a 72-inch reach, though. Austin Lingo 0-1 in the UFC with a 7-1 MMA record. Jacob Kilburn 0-1 in the UFC as well with an 8-3 MMA record. So we got two guys here right off the bat where they're just trying to get that first win and crack that surface of the UFC. You know what I mean? If you go 0-2 in the UFC, you definitely have that factor already in the back of your head. So both of these guys already have that factor in the both their head. If they lose this fight, you know what I mean? Uncle Dana could come knocking and say, maybe we put you down on the fight on the contender series, or maybe you do something else for a little bit and we go with our other program where we watch you for a bit. You know what I mean?
Well, it's also just, I was going to say, it's not even, like, also your confidence too. Like,
yeah,
sometimes, especially if you're not a completely mentally tough individual and you can't persevere through that, that's a make or break right there.
Austin Lingo, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions, 4 finishes under 1 minute. Although, I mean, a lot of those guys are kind of suspect guys as far as, who we could say he's fought. None of them, no real opponents of name here. But, I mean, Austin Lingo, he is coming off a decision loss to Yusuf Zalal, which was an absolute barn burner of a fight. I thought both guys kind of, had the ability to look really good in that fight, and they did both look really good in that fight. We saw a lot of good boxing out of them, a lot of crisp shots. Zalal was probably kind of honestly able to kind of get a bunch of takedowns on him, and it was very surprising. Zalal was kind of able to dominate him, kind of able to hold him, kind of able to kind of implement his own game plan there and not really kind of play into the whole game plan of Austin Lingo, which is kind of to clinch wrestle, kind of put good pressure on you, put good shots on you. If he can take you to the ground, he's going to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
As far as he's got more flat-footed stationary work than a lot of other people do. He kind of more so sits with that flat stance, kind of land that power. You know what I mean? He doesn't even really kick that back heel off the ground very much. He got taken down to start the second round, and he didn't. It took him a while to get up. Zalal holding him down was kind of honestly just showing to us that, Zalal's a lot better than we even thought he was, because he's got so many different, assets to his game that he can bring. And Zalal is a star. Yusuf Zalal is a star that's up and coming here in the UFC. So for a guy like Austin, you know what I mean? So for a guy like Austin Lingo, exactly. So for a guy like Austin Lingo to go up against him and lose, you know what I mean, in his first fight, that's a really tough task. And Zalal had already had a fight or two in the UFC before that point, I believe. So the whole problem in that fight as well was we saw Lingo fade. We saw him fade in the later stages of that fight, and that's when he was able to get taken down again by Zalal. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where this whole kind of process came of Zalal kind of just starting to implement his game, get really good single leg takedowns. Lingo kind of wouldn't even sprawl for some of them. That's how gassed he was. You know what I mean? Like, he could mentally, you could see it coming, and you knew he could see it coming because his body would kind of react, but he was so tired in the legs and in the body, couldn't even. And he was just getting taken right down. The other fight that I chose to look at from Austin Lingo was the Chris Hatley fight Jr. and Chris Hatley Jr. fight, and that was in LFA. And that was only a 21-second fight, and where he landed the right hand and putting Chris Hatley right out. We saw another fight against Foster where he was taken down and he got Kimura'd. He was taken down and someone tried to put a Kimura on him. He then escaped and was able to put the guy in a guillotine. So that was pretty good, but we haven't seen a lot of tape from Austin Lingo. And like I said, he's only 7-1 in his MMA career. Like, he hasn't fought a lot of guys. He hasn't fought a lot of name guys, a lot of guys that it wasn't their debut record as well. You know what I mean? Coming out for a lot of those fights, or, you know what I mean? Their first couple or third fight for them.
Well, at least he was, I'm just looking at it here. Obviously, yeah. I didn't watch as much tape, but at least they were in LFA. Like, it wasn't.
Yes.
I was thinking at first, I was seeing Dallas, Texas. I was like, okay, this guy might have just been around the Texas circuit or something like that, regional scene.
Yeah.
Which obviously, that was probably one of his first professional bout was in LFA. He had because he had an amateur one in LFA too. So, yeah, at the same time, it's not like LFA is not the absolute bottom of the barrel. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, and like I said, it's a hard way to go out for your first UFC matchup and go take on Yusuf Zalal, and you know what I mean. He's already been in the UFC for a fight or two, and he's ready to take your head off. You know what I mean. And he's just upgrading his game as he's going. You know what I mean. He's one of these guys that's already found more than just his stand-up game and more than the spinning kicks and the stand-up. He's been able to, like in that fight, show a lot of good takedown defense and then kind of turn it into his own offense and kind of get that going.
Right. And like off the top of my head, like I don't remember the fight vividly, but based on what you said, I do kind of recall it more so just being a kind of dominant fight for Zalal. And like when you do get exposed by that, you could be a guy like when you're undefeated coming into the UFC, you can be obviously higher on yourself, and if he's got some skills to back it up, maybe for good reason. But when you get exposed for that, it's either you come back and you're gonna overcome. Maybe hopefully give himself a good enough gas tank. It's not a quick turnaround. It's John Jones Reyes. That's like what, February last year. Early was that later? But that's like early 2020. So like, he's had a while to, if he wants it, give himself the kind of, at least the fundamentals to put on a good fight. But we'll see. Yeah, tough first bout with Zalal.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we're gonna see him going in. We're gonna see him. What's up, DT man? Thank you. Yes, Combat Cannon podcast. Everybody, come tune in on DT's channel, DT3 the Boon Man. We're doing a podcast every Tuesday, called Combat Cannon, talking about MMA, the news. We always talk about the big fight that's coming up. We're gonna talk about a couple of some reactions and stuff like that. What we thought of the fight. You know what I mean? What up, Jay? What's going on, guys? As far as Jacob Kilburn goes, let's talk about him a little bit. 4 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's actually, on the other hand, coming off a loss to another crazy hyped prospect in Billy Quarantillo. And pretty much in that fight, he got submitted very easily. I believe it was a triangle choke. It was taken down easily, controlled on the ground. His defense wasn't even there to kind of, you know what I mean? But we've seen Billy Quarantillo. He definitely separates himself from the rest. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys that's able to kind of get in there and change he's one of those guys that's able to roll through submissions very, very easily and smooth. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have a problem like we just saw with the flying triangle. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have a problem throwing up a submission from anywhere, and he's able to just slide that right in. You know what I mean?
Oh, super dangerous grappling. Is he brown belt or black? Sure, which one? But
I believe he's only a brown belt.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, but he's one of the guys that can like. Oh yeah, he's got some skill for sure.
So yeah, I believe Billy Quarantillo got the triangle in the second round actually. So he actually was able to last a round, which is pretty impressive. And there was, obviously, if you've got the energy, you know what I mean. He was able to kind of scramble with him a little bit, but didn't add up. And then obviously Billy Q was able to kind of slip that submission in there and pretty much take him out. Yeah, DT, there was a flying triangle. It was one of my picks for submission of the year. It was between Billy Quarantillo and who was it, Dan? It was what's his name? We just had it. I can't even remember it. I've been watching
Jimmy
so
Flick?
much different. Yeah,
Jimmy the Bick Flick, as you like to call him.
yeah, it was. Sorry, it was Jimmy Flick actually.
But Jimmy the Brick Flick.
Brick Flick, yeah. How he pulled that off? They were striking, and he came at him. Was it like the end of the round? I wish I had the clip too.
Was it second round?
And I could have played the clip,
because
but
I remember it was
deleted it. I'm not playing it.
I remember it was pretty dominant for Quarantillo up until that point.
I wish I had refreshed my mindset.
Because it was definitely a comeback. I remember that, but it was either first or second round, and they got in the clinch, and I think he got just. It was kind of like a tie kind of clinch on the back. Obviously, Boon Man would know more about the technical. I would definitely encourage him to look up the clip. He'd know more about the technicalities of the clinch there. But and then he pretty much had the hands behind the head, threw it up his legs, and it was just so good and so quick with it that no way you're getting out of that.
Okay, so as far as his Javanis, he then had another fight. This is on Island Fight actually. So this guy's obviously only had the one fight in the UFC. This next fight was against Javanis Ross, and he landed a good check hook, catches his opponent, put him out. Like, he has the power in the chin to make it an absolute brawl. That's kind of what I saw in that fight, because Ross was able to tag him with some good shots, and man, honestly, like, he was able to kind of stand up through those. Obviously, Ross isn't the best fighter, and kind of brawl right through him. As far as the Ribeiro fight, the exact same kind of thing. But we did see that Kilburn likes to drop his hands. He does like to kind of, in his stance, that lead hand is very, very low, and he's throwing that lead hand from a low spot. And it is kind of atypical, because it's not like he's in a karate stance. It's kind of more so like he's in like a boxing stance, but he's got his hand just very low. So it's kind of, it gives you something to worry about with a little bit of a guy who has the ability to put him out. But yeah, he lost the first round, and in the opening of the second round, he was able to put Davison Ribeiro out on his feet, and then pretty much the ref had to stop it. As far as Bobby Moffatt, this was his Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series fight. He basically just took him down, had him in a side mount most of the fight, and I believe he ended up finishing that fight. Dan, can you confirm or deny that? Confirm or
Sorry,
deny that for me?
which fight was that?
The fight between Bobby Moffatt and.
No, yeah, he lost second round via dart choke.
Okay, so yeah, it was the other way around. So Bobby Moffatt actually, I see this is why the handwritten notes are actually far superior to the online notes because
Inferior.
yeah, because they're far terrible, far crap. They're just crap. They're crap. Because I can't read them, bro. I can't read them. They're like, it's like you hear me trying to do this. I'm trying to read these notes that I made, and they're fucking chicken scratch. I don't know how I was doing it for weeks before. I was probably holding it way up to my face. But yeah, as far as this fight goes, it's honestly, it's a pretty hard pick. I don't know. In the way I looked at it, I think it's a very interesting fight. Kind of like what I was saying before. Both men possess the power to be able to turn each other's lights out, which is an interesting thing. And we haven't seen much on either guy as far as fighting high level talent, UFC level caliber guys. You know what I mean? We've seen kind of a lot of fights, and like you said, LFA is not a bad division. We're not gonna chirp that or anything. But I believe that Austin Lingo will probably have the tools to win this. I think he's going to just be able to control the pace a little bit better. I think Kilburn's probably actually going to tire. I think with the game that Lingo brings, I think that Kilburn's probably going to end up gassing a little bit in that second round. And I don't really think there's going to be a stoppage here, but I do think that Lingo's going to pretty much have his way with him. You take that as you want to. I'm not as confident in this fight as I would like to say, but I do think that Austin Lingo has the ability to get this fight done, and my pick is Austin Lingo over Jacob Kilburn. Dan, what do you think?
Well, the way I'd be leaning if I was gonna make a pick, not knowing the odds or anything like that.
Sorry.
Just like
what am
seeing,
I doing?
like we said, both haven't. I like seeing it afterwards. Actually, seeing the odds. If we can do this, do you have a graphic that has the stats and the odds?
That has the odds on it. Or no,
Does it?
doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Okay, no, yeah, I'd rather not have that. But well, yeah, let's.
Why does it?
Oh no, yes, it does. Yes, I'm sorry, yeah, it does. Kilburn at the plus 85 underdog. Plus 185 underdog.
I can't see. I can't even read it from the screen. It doesn't even matter. I'll just put it on my other screen. But yeah,
it's like the fourth.
So you'd rather what? You'd rather me put it up later? I think people are probably gonna want to see it.
Well, yeah, maybe just put it up at the beginning of the next fight, and then you can take it down once we go through the stats. Because I was seeing that Kilburn has a slight reach advantage. This is still 2 inches, but I don't think Kilburn can finish him. So I think the fight's probably going to go the distance. And if I was gonna, pick somebody, I'd go Lingo, but I probably wouldn't at minus 225.
No, I wouldn't be touching this fight.
I probably wouldn't be betting it, but let me pull up. Actually, you can start doing the next fight, but let me look up some like props as far as like fight going the distance. We'll see what.
Okay, I'm gonna probably show people the fight then probably right away, and then I'll put it away. Okay.
Yeah, just break down those real quick.
Okay. Next fight up here. We got Sarah Morass, Vanessa Mello. This is gonna be. I mean, it is what it is here, people. It's gonna be a nice little bantamweight women's bout to get this night started. You know what I mean? It's gonna
little fight for Sherm to lose some money on.
Yeah, nice little fight for a couple people to bet into and probably lose some money on. Sarah Morass 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. Vanessa Mello 5'5" with a 65-inch reach. So she's got a 2-inch reach advantage. She's 3-5 in the UFC. Sarah Morass with a 6-6 MMA record. Vanessa Mello 0-3 in the UFC with a 10-8 MMA record. Sarah Morass, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions. Vanessa Mello, no knockouts, 2 submissions. Sarah Morass, we're seeing her come off of this is honestly pretty disappointing. I don't know if you guys remember this. Dan, you probably do. I had some money riding on Morass. I had her picked in her last fight versus Sijara Eubanks, Sarge.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
And the UD loss. Oh man. She just, so the kind of the notes I had written down on that fight is, Sarah Morass was kind of constantly keeping her head on the center line. She was able to kind of just get teed off on by Sijara Eubanks, who pretty much blitzes. Her style is to pretty much kind of go in there, blitz you with shots, and pretty much just kind of overwhelm you a little bit, because she does have the ability to, keep herself on the feet as far as if it tries to, become a grappling fest or anything like that. She has the ability to stand up on her feet and deliver good shots. The whole problem is we did see that Morass does have actually does have a decent jab, which I do like. I like fighters that have a good jab. It's decent. She needs to work on it. She had a good leg kick that she tried to pair with it a little bit, and that's kind of when she found success, was pairing that leg kick with the jab. She walks into a lot of shots, like I said. Like the fight between her and Sarge was basically them just walking at each other, just teeing off at each other. But
as Sajara does. What's it? How do you call it again? The
Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Oh yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's Rock'em Sock'em Robots with Sajara Eubanks. They're just pounding each other in the face, blah, 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 blah. The shots don't have enough power on it to take each other out, so they're just...
Yeah, Cheesecake will just be like, oh, okay, let's fight.
Yeah, they're just kind of in there.
Oh, that fight just... let's get through this. I don't even want to keep talking about this.
No, we're talking about Cheesecake. I told you, we got the notes to do it.
I know, but...
She doesn't look very athletic. As Dan was saying, Dan doesn't like her. Her name's Cheesecake. Her nickname is Cheesecake. She's not really able to get much power into her shots. Her movement kind of looks very sloppy and labored.
Like, how did she not get cut?
She does have the ability, though, to threaten some submissions off her back. We saw it in the fight. None of them were successful. She was ground and pounded hard to finish the second round, and she got her back taken pretty easily by Sarge. So, I mean, that's not a good thing. Like, Sarge isn't any special talent on the ground. She's kind of just an overall, what I would call a gatekeeper for that division. And that's probably the nicest way of putting it. I don't know what you would think, Dan.
Like, I don't even know why they made that fight. Like, what does that even do? Like, it's two literally people that go out there and usually, well, obviously Morass is more of a meat sack than Sajara is, but still, that was just a terrible fight. And yeah, I don't even know. You can't even call Morass a gatekeeper.
No, Morass isn't a gatekeeper. Sarge is a gatekeeper.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I said, if you can't beat a gatekeeper, what does that say about you? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck does that really say about you if you can't beat a gatekeeper?
But what I mean is, like, usually a fight that they throw at Sarge would be like an up and comer. Like, Morass was 3-4 heading into that fight in the UFC. Like, what were they trying to see there? Like, oh, is Sarge gonna take another? Let's give Sarge a nice little easy one and see if she's gonna make another run. Like, we need somebody to. Is that Joanna's division?
I believe so. It's yeah.
No, sorry, not Joanna. What am I talking about? Valentina.
Yes,
Valentina.
Yep.
Yeah, they're just trying to get a little just
meat sack.
No. It's not, well, yeah, they keep the meat sacks moving through pretty much what I call. It's like a feeding pit for Valentina, pretty much.
It's the Rancor pit, you know what I mean? When you step into it in Star Wars and you fall down and the Rancor eats you.
Yeah, I was gonna say exactly more so like in you ever see Jurassic World and they had like the hybrid T-Rex?
Yes, I did see.
And then
Jurassic
World. They're like when they threw like a sheep or something.
Yes,
yeah.
Okay, so that
never mind. I'll stop.
Okay. So, but then there was another fight with Morass. Morass is one of these females that keeps that we I kind of don't like because she had the fight versus Joe Jua, which we bet heavy on Joe Jua. You remember that? We bet heavy on Joe Jua. That was
I don't want to talk about these fights because I don't even.
So we bet heavy on Joe Jua, and basically, long story short. She looked pretty good. She looked.
I don't know about heavy.
I mean, all my bets had her in them. I remember it. They all killed a bunch of bets before the night even started. I was pissed.
Don't implicate me in this.
It doesn't even matter. In that fight, she actually looked like she had an effective jab. She had the really good hooks in that fight, paired with a good leg and body kick. She was kind of just walking her down with confidence. She had a lot more confidence than she had in the Sajara fight. Like this is the problem with some of these female fighters. It kind of makes it a little bit more exciting. That's why a guy like Sherm would like to bet on them. It's because you'd see a different one sometimes every single fight. You know what I mean? To see consistency in even a male fighter, to see consistency all the time is pretty rare. That's why it makes MMA kind of, you know what I mean, a crazy thing. You know what I mean? To stay consistent, to show the same kind of tools. You know what I mean? Or to look the same against every opponent, or you know what I mean, use the same things against every opponent is very rare. She was using a lot of dirty boxing and stuff like that. She was using her knees and stuff like that very well. Morass was kind of swinging wildly. She was just kind of doing her, you know, rock'em sock'em robot thing, kind of just going blah, 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 swinging the entire time. She was able to stuff a couple takedowns from Jojua, and at that point, Jojua was super gassed. I don't know if anyone remembers. Dan, you probably do. gassed to the point where a girl like Morass was able to just put shots on her. She was not able to keep her hands up and defend herself, and she got a TKO in round 3. Yeah, there's a female fighter named Sarge. Her nickname is Sarge. Sajara Eubanks is her name, and her nickname is Sarge. It's pretty cool. She then also had a loss to Macy Chazon before that fight, and Macy Chazon was able to basically just take her down and full mount her and rain down punches on her and knock her out in round 2. The first round didn't look too bad, as Morass did shoot a takedown and did land some good punches when she was in her guard as she got reversed. But like, as far as a Macy Chazon, she's a lot better than I would think. Chazon might have already fought Jojo. I don't even know. Let's talk about Vanessa Mello real quick here. I'll kind of skim through this one a little bit more because these, I don't know, people might not like hearing about these women fights.
Yeah, we shouldn't spend too much time on this.
But doesn't
yeah, skim
matter. I'm not skipping. I'll skim
3
through
triple UD losses.
Listen. 3 triple UD losses. She doesn't look very exciting. This is probably a girl who's going to get cut from the UFC. 0-3 in the UFC, 10-8 MMA record, no knockouts, 2 submissions, like I said. 3 unanimous decision losses to Arena Aldana, Tracy Cortez, and Carol Rosa. In the fight against Carol Rosa, she missed weight by 5 pounds, coming in at 141 pounds, which is crazy. And then in the Aldana fight, she also missed weight by 4 pounds in that fight. But that fight was on short notice, so I do give her a little bit of credit. But when I saw her come in, miss weight 5 pounds on the Rosa fight, and that, I don't believe that fight was short notice, that's when I start to get kind of skeptical if, you can have a career in the UFC, you know what I mean? And you can kind of be a consistent fighter in the UFC. Not even just to mention the 0-3 losses, like, just if you're missing weight, if you have 3 fights and you miss weight by that much weight in 2 of your fights, might be the time to get the boot, you know what I mean? Or just go up and wait. I got, like...
And it's probably like if she loses this one to Morass, like, at that point, you got to be done.
No, yeah, that's what I have.
Can't, like, 0-4 in the UFC. And unfortunately, if Morass wins this fight, it'll be another, be like, we'll just give her the next half decent.
Basically, the way that I'm teeing it up is, Mello's had all those weight cutting issues. She doesn't tidy that up. She's gonna get cut from the UFC. It's probably gonna come down to a lot to how good of shape we see both women in, because you know what I mean. We've seen a different Morass too before.
Brazilian.
You know what I mean.
She's also Brazilian and might not even make it to the fight. We've had so many Brazilians catching last-minute COVID. Obviously, I'm not hope for anything, but I wouldn't even mind that.
So basically,
this fight just gets canceled.
But basically, the way that I rate...
Let's pray.
Shut up. The way that I tee it up here is Morass possesses probably more tools. She has better jab. She has better clinch pressure. Her activity on her hands or feet, that's a lot more better for her. Both women don't use much in the way of head movement and will stand and throw punches in the pocket recklessly. I don't think that Mello has the power to put Morass out on the hands and feet. As we have seen, she has no knockout power and has hit lighter females such as Cortez. Cortez moved up in weight to fight her because she wanted to get one more fight in before the end of the year, so she just decided to move up. Not being able to even put her out or even stumble her, and they were just sitting there throwing the whole time. I think the jab and the slight reach and height advantage for Morass is something that she can fall back on. I just don't see Mello having the speed to be able to counter and land shots effectively. We have seen that Mello has a difficulty getting up off the ground and threatening the submissions off her back, and if Morass doesn't have the best takedown defense that we have seen against, best takedown percentage we have seen against fighters who are unable to transition easily on the feet, Morass is still able to capitalize. I just see this fight basically going Morass's way via decision. I think that's the easiest way of putting it, and then we'll quickly move on.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, yeah, she's never lost a fight by anything but decision, so... Yeah, obviously, I'll go with Morass.
And there are the odds right there for anyone. I don't even know if I think I already had it thrown up, though.
Yeah, I think I'll go with Morass, but I'm definitely refusing to bet on that. The only thing I would consider... decision's not even worth it, so... Yeah, no, completely staying away from this fight.
Okay, let's turn it up a little bit. Let's talk about something a little bit more exciting.
Oh, wait, do you want me to go back to quickly before we kick this one off? Just some of the... Because we did discuss the line, really, on the Kilburn Lingo fight.
What do you mean? What do you want to talk about the line on the betting line on the Kilburn Lingo fight?
Well, let me just talk about. I'll tell you some props real quick.
Oh yeah, I forgot you were pulling up the props.
So Lingo on points 2.75.
Okay.
To 1. Sorry, that's the format I have it in right now. I can change it over to plus minus. But yeah, so that was your pick, right? Lingo.
Yeah.
Lingo decision.
Yeah. Okay.
Or you can bet the fight to go the distance pretty much at even odds.
Okay, that's not bad. I don't mind those at all. Don't even bring up anything. You can get something ready. You can get some odds ready for this fight as I go over it right now. I'll keep it up right now. Okay. The next fight we got here at welterweight, 170 pounds is David Zawada and Ramazan Ameev. Sorry about that, guys. David Zawada 1-2 in the UFC with a 17-5 MMA record. Ramazan Ameev 4-1 in the UFC with a 19-4 MMA record. 11 knockouts, 4 submissions for David Zawada. He's got a sub. He's coming off a submission win over. This another. I'm just gonna say Nurmagomedov, but it's not Khabib. That's what I'm gonna say, because I don't even want to try and pronounce his first name and botch that, because I definitely will. He's got more of a kickboxing style. He likes to kind of face his opponent's punches and kind of, actually he's got the ability to kind of avoid getting hit. He's able to kind of chain the takedowns and the punches together. And kind of once he was taken down in that fight, he was able to, because he did go for his own takedown, he wasn't able to get it. And then once he did get taken down in that fight, he was able to throw up that beautiful triangle from the bottom, and that was able to get him that was able to get it done for him. So that was really successful, and that was something that we hadn't seen really out of Zawada yet, as far as a high-level guy like Nurmagomedov being on top of him, kind of having that heavy top pressure, and him being able to slide that triangle in, because even the commentators were doubting that he was going to be able to get that triangle out. Like it was very, very tight, and it was very close for him not being able to get it. Then as far as another fight that he's had, was another guy on this card, actually, the Leech, who's fighting later in the card we'll be talking about, Li Jinglang. Basically in that fight, he was stalking down the Leech. He dropped him with a solid right hand. But everything he throws, when he throws from a boxing stance or a kickboxing stance, his head stays pretty much in the center, which is kind of the one thing that I don't like for some of these guys that have that more power. You know what I mean? Like if you're doing that, you know what I mean? And especially a guy like Li Jinglang's able to kind of like tee off on you like that, like that's a huge problem. Like he's a top level guy that's, you know what I mean, put a lot of guys away, and like just he's a perfect example of a guy like you don't want to fuck with. You know what I mean? You don't want to stand on the hands and feet and fuck with. And honestly, I think the reason that he lost that fight to Li Jinglang, because throughout that fight, basically he couldn't put Li Jinglang away. Li Jinglang is he's got an iron chin, you know what I mean? He's got a granite chin. He's one of those guys that does not go down easily. And he's not able to keep down even if you drop him. You know what I mean? Like, he's not a guy that you're able to finish very easily at all. He did show that he steps in well with his knees and his strikes in that fight. He did pick his punches very well, but he just had a little bit more stiffness than Li Jinglang. And I think that's kind of what ended this kind of fight for him. But the real thing that we had to look at in that fight was his cardio. His cardio was kind of dog shit. We saw him in that third. He wasn't able to hold those hands up. He wasn't able to move out of the way, and he started getting teed off on. He got ended in that fight, I don't know if anyone remembers, with a beautiful side kick to the body. It didn't have a ton of force on it, but the real reason was he was so winded. There was only about 40 seconds left in the fight. He was so winded and he was just kind of hanging on, and I was like, there's no way he makes this. And then boom, the side kick comes to the body, the delayed reaction, him grabbing his gut, and he fell to the ground. And he also, throughout that whole entire fight, was constantly eating hard leg kicks. The hard leg kicks definitely resulted in him not being able to kind of move as much as he likes to do, and that kind of ended up in him being that punching bag that Li Jinglang was able to kind of land that sidekick on. He was tired. His leg was destroyed, compromised, as I like to say. And that was kind of it for him. So then as far as the Danny Roberts fight, he looked pretty good. It was kind of a similar thing where he kind of looked. He can look pretty good. He can threaten off his back, like kind of like we saw in the Nurmagomedov fight. Like he was able to threaten some good submissions on Roberts that honestly I thought he was going to be able to pull off. He had a very tight armbar at one point that Roberts was able to slip out of. But in reality, it was kind of the same thing. He kind of ended up slowing. He ended up losing a decision. He wasn't able to keep that same output that he came into the fight with, and that was kind of his demise, to a sense. As far as Ramazan Emeev, on the other hand, like I said, 19-4 in MMA, 4-1 in the UFC. He's coming off of I just wanted to write this down. He's one of those, Dan. He's one of those international combat masters of. He's an international master of sport in combat sambo. But we knew that most.
Goretz.
Yeah, Goretz. Yeah, he's coming in there. He ain't fucking around. He's coming off a decision win to Nicholas Stoltz, in which he looked pretty good. He's kind of got a wide stance. He's kind of really sits really heavy on the lead foot. Really got a guy that's really open for kicking. If you're able to do that, you're able to kind of bash up that lead leg. You can probably have a lot of success against Emeev. He's one of these guys that meshes his boxing with his takedowns perfectly. He's bringing that takedown, the boxing level up with his kind of takedowns. Like I said, international master of sport and combat sambo. He's very good in the clinch, able to kind of throw you down. He's got a very, very good chin. He took a crazy knee to the face that I thought would put most men down, and just stumbled him for 1 second, and he just kind of kept walking forward. He was kind of just walking Stoltz down the entire time with Chris strikes. He did show a little bit of slowing down late in the fight, but I believe it was just because of the fact that he was dominating the fight so heavily, and Stoltz really had no answer to a lot of the stuff that he was kind of bringing out there. As far as his fight against Anthony Rocco Martin, he did show a lot of comfortable, like he was being very comfortable, but he did show a little bit of unexperience in his hands, and that was the fight before the Stoltz fight. So obviously, like, seeing that transition, we know that like he's improving those hands. He's constantly getting better with them. In that fight, that's actually a decision loss he took. He was able to use a lot of smart, powerful wrestling to kind of get out of a Kimura trap that he was put in early. He was getting that lead leg beaten up, kind of like what I was saying against Nicholas Stoltz. He's very heavy on that front leg. If you do have a good leg kick game, that's your opportunity right there to kind of start slowing him down. You know what I mean, and making him shoot from bad angles, and then you're kind of able to tee off on him. He was kind of put in a position where he couldn't get the TDs or really work on the ground, so that's kind of maybe where we saw him lose there. But I think that we saw improvement to the Stoltz fight. I think that he looked a lot better. Obviously, he's not Anthony Rocco Martin, but I think he looked a lot better, and I think that I don't know. I actually think that Emeev's probably going to take this fight. I think with the boxing improvement that we've seen recently, and him having that comfortability and being striking, I think this is definitely going to be a good fight, though. I think like if Emeev takes Zawada down, Zawada's got the ability to throw up that triangle really quickly, get him out of there with ease. And that would be crazy too. But it's like we've seen him do that before. We saw him just do that against Nurmagomedov. So would you be surprised? Because I wouldn't. No, I don't know.
Absolutely not.
But
no, I think I'd be a bit more surprised. I think Khabib's a bit more established than Abu Bakr. I think that's what.
Yeah. Who were you?
That guy. That was that guy's first and only. Yeah, first fight in the UFC. I'm definitely leaning towards Emeev. It's I think I agree. It's probably going to be a close fight. Probably go the distance unless Emeev can just take him out of there with just dominance, and I don't know, because I don't really know how good Zawada's grappling is. Obviously, he was able to pull off that early submission.
Yeah,
sorry, I was just saying what I'm kind of realizing, which is insane. You know how
Mhm.
crazy the UFC matchmakers are especially in a stacked division like the welterweight. Amiv's last win against Stolze,
Yep.
German, sorry.
Yep.
Zawada, the German, his last win against Nurmagomedov, the Russian. So they're just like, well, you know how they usually try and do based on like previous opponents or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're just like, in this case, they're like, oh well.
I mean, it gets crazier and crazier all the time.
I think it's going to be a good bout. Obviously, it's a little bit one-sided on the odds. Amiv's a pretty big favorite, so I probably wouldn't be looking to bet. I think it's closer than those odds are probably going to reflect.
Where was
I
it?
think we'll see a closer fight than that.
Yeah.
But so I probably wouldn't bet on Amiv straight up. I'd maybe look for him on points or something like that. But it's not great odds at a little bit under 2-1. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a good fight, but not many great opportunities to cash in here unless you're getting crazy looking at. I don't know. I don't think Zawada's worth it even for 3-1. Unfortunately, somebody like that, especially if you're saying he's a combat sambo master of sport, then yeah, definitely won't see me betting against him.
Yeah. That's pretty much the same way I'm thinking about it. I'm not, and just like looking at the guys they fought, I just think like both guys definitely, it's gonna pretty much come down to a battle of heart, and if he can land that takedown and get that takedown on Zawada, I think he's gonna be able to get the takedown. It's like, what's the game plan that the people around Amiv are gonna want to employ? I don't know.
Well, especially even if Zawada has a good ground game, like sometimes with somebody that has like such like dominance and pressure on the top, like they can neutralize that.
Yeah,
completely.
Of course.
And
that's what I mean.
Honestly, now the more I think about it, we could see an interesting fight, or we could see a very boring fight of Amiv pretty much taking him down and holding him there until whoever the ref is, hopefully our boy Sherman in the cage, the guy with the brown
his name's Zach, I think.
Up or
his
something
name's
like
Zach,
that.
I
But
think.
no, it could be a very bad with Amiv just dominating the ground. Oh, do you have his actual name? Oh, I love that guy.
I don't know. I saw it the other day on a fight, and I was gonna screen cap it and send it to you guys, but I said I don't know. I'm not going to.
Being able to.
I hope my camera's not cutting out. People can let me know if it is anymore or not anymore.
I think it's better now. It looks better now.
Yeah, we're having a lot of technical difficulty problems, but we're fighting through it. As far as Jorgen Castro goes, like I said, he pretty much, the Carlos Felipe fight versus Jorgen Castro, he was able to pretty much just walk him down the entire fight. He has a good jab when he uses it, although he likes to kind of just brawl and kind of get in the pocket and throw those hard overhands and kind of just actually go downstairs to the body, which he does do very well. He likes to mix it up going from body to head and stuff like that, and keeps that pretty consistent. He puts his foot down and throws punches. He pretty much put DeCastro almost out on his feet. He threw up about a 15-punch combo, and then after he did that 15-punch combo at the edge of the cage and kind of battered him, that's when his gas tank just went way down, and we kind of saw Carlos Felipe with a lower output, even though he was still able to win the fight against DeCastro. We saw him then fight Sergey Spivak and take a majority decision loss. That was the UFC debut fight for Carlos Felipe. He was rushing forward, kind of similar style like he always does, the brawler style. He kind of just wants to get in there and rush you. He has good head movement when he's trying to. He showed good head movement in that fight when he was trying to close distance, and he normally does have pretty good head movement. He was jabbing well right off the start, but Spivak did land a couple shots on him. Spivak was able to move and pick some shots and actually land his own combos on Felipe. And Spivak's kind of one of those guys that is a lot taller, a lot longer, and he likes to really use that range and kind of fight from that distance and move and circle from there. He was able to slip and land more in the second round, and he kind of got in Spivak's face after the round and yelled he won the round. Therefore, it was a kind of a 1-1 fight. People thought it was about a 1-1 fight, just from the output that Felipe had from that first round against Spivak. He was taken down at the beginning of the third and not able to get up off of his back, and Spivak kind of kind of just basically kept him there, and he was kind of just getting punched in the face for the rest of the fight. It wasn't very a good look for the intro to the UFC for Carlos Felipe. But as far as Justin Tafa's gone, Justin Tafa comes from actually a pretty deep family of fighters. His grandfather was a national heavyweight boxing champ, and all three of his brothers have all fought pro, as well as his youngest brother being a top 10 glory kickboxer. So it just runs in his blood. You can just see it when he throws his punches. They're fast and crisp, and they're a high level of boxing for what we see at the heavyweight division. Normally, these guys with all the weight behind them and all the power behind them can kind of sacrifice technical skill for that power, like a guy we see in Ngannou who's able to kind of just wing his punches and kind of get that same or just as much torque out of those than you would throwing the punch properly. As far as against Juan Adams, he got a TKO win, Justin Tafa. He was landing his good fast leg kick. He was able to land a good counter rights on Juan Adams. And then he was kind of leap on the landing. He kind of threw this kind of leaping lead right hook and kind of slept Adams on his feet, and then that fight was over. They ended up having the ref stop that fight on the feet. He was just done. And then as far as looking at the important fight that Dan was talking about, his only other fight in the UFC, which was against Yorgan De Castro, which was actually a knockout loss. You know what I mean? And that might say something to people. And this was also a fight for Tafa, not only being his debut into the UFC. This was in Auckland, New Zealand. Or this was in Australia, I believe, and this was in his hometown, I believe. So, this you couldn't come in with more pressure than that, and it's unfortunate that he did have to get knocked out by Yorgan De Castro. But Tafa kind of engaged out of a southpaw stance, kind of throwing wild like he always kind of does. He throws wild just like Felipe does. His are a little bit more controlled. Tafa was pressuring well against the fence and landing good uppercuts before breaking. He was doing a really good job at that. And then he also switched stances as he came in to generate a rear right hand. And right as he was switching stances to generate that rear right hand, to really kind of lunge in with it, kind of like he did in the Juan Adams fight, he ran right into a counter from Yorgan De Castro. And pretty much all that force that he was bringing into it is what basically ended up knocking him out. He just fell like a big heap to the floor. And that's unfortunate to say, but that's exactly what happened in it. This is probably going to be a wild, exciting fight for as long as it goes. The first thing I can be said after talking about both these men that are kind of both relatively new to the UFC, kind of both of them, it's only being both of their third fights, you know what I mean? And they mainly haven't fought any named skilled guys. Like I said, De Castro probably being the best turning point. Spivak's kind of an up-and-comer right now, too, as well. I believe that the chin of Felipe has shown that it can hold up very well to some hard punches. I don't see him being knocked out cold, but these two men have no problems standing in the center of the octagon and absolutely trading kicks and punches. It wouldn't be unreasonable to say that someone could go to sleep pretty early in this fight. I don't think that's stupid to say. I just think that Felipe has seen a little bit of a higher level opponents as far as just not one-dimensional guys that want to stand in the pocket and trade. I don't know. I think him being held down on the mat for that third round is what lost in that fight against Spivak. I already touched on that. Tafa's never been out in the second round, and having been in the octagon with an opponent that can take his shots and ask for more, that's pretty much what Felipe is going to do. Felipe is one of these rough and rowdy guys that's going to pretty much walk at him and put his hands out and ask him to punch him in the face. I just don't think Tafa has the amount of cage time and experience from higher level opponents to get this one done in the heavyweight game. But I honestly, anything can happen. But my pick is Carlos Felipe via finish. I don't know, Dan. What are you picking?
Well, yeah, no, I think they're both. Yeah, like I was kind of saying earlier when you were gone, they're both in an interesting spot at 1-1 in the UFC, and obviously they're kind of UFC's throwing them together, looking to see who the real kind of contender is among the two. Obviously, just based on their records in the UFC, it leans towards Felipe, and I think that's. I don't know, for good reason. When you see that guy in the cage, like, obviously he was, I don't know, it was just kind of the classic guy out of Brazil that's in there and he just loves to fight. Like, you can tell, and he's got so much probably, you can tell the amount of cage time experience he's got, even though sometimes, obviously, we saw in like the Spivak lives, like, he was just kind of laying on his back, slapping Spivak, like, saying, like, oh, come on, like, let me up, like, and obviously, like, okay, well, if you want to get up, get yourself up. You know what I mean? Like, so there's obviously that. I don't love that. But that being, I think he has the ability to win it over. Probably it's over 3 rounds. Obviously, it could end early, but we see Felipe go the distance quite often. But I don't know. I think he could catch Felipe early. Has Felipe been? Well, I guess he's never. I guess he's never been knocked out.
No.
Yeah, and I guess that you can he's so confident in there, and he's probably has so much experience. But at the same time, it only takes one. It could happen. But I'd probably be leaning, if anything. Obviously, I'm seeing here Felipe is a pretty big favorite, not a massive favorite, but yeah, I'd probably bet Felipe on points. Honestly,
You would, eh? Yeah,
I think he wades the waters of the obviously the treacherous waters of the first round. Tafa's going to be trying to take him out of there, obviously, but after he gets past that first round, I think he goes the distance, if not finishing him late. Felipe 3rd round's 11-1. It's kind of nuts, but
yeah, man, I'm kind of thinking that we're either like
we haven't really seen like DeCastro finished him in what
who
the first round.
Tafa?
Yeah,
he ran right into it.
Like we don't see like Tafa go the distance. Like his other finishes are in the 2nd round. Like it's either 1st round or 2nd round for this guy. So
yeah, it's either all or bust. You know what I mean? So like, why not?
And obviously we saw like Spivak was the better grappler, no doubt. But we could see Felipe with the edge here in the grappling department. And if he wants to make it a grappling, dirty boxing round in the 1st round, drain Tafa a little bit.
Yep. Absolutely.
I don't know. I'm kind of liking that. That'll be my pick. I think Felipe on points.
Felipe on points. Hey, okay, yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that. Like I said, I'm going with Felipe. That's an absolute fact. As far as the next fight here, we got the 2 women. We got Wu Yanan taking on Josie Edwards. I don't think we're gonna go over this one for too long, just because of the fact that Josie Edwards is coming in, stepping in on like a 9 days notice or something like that, taking this fight. She just fought like a couple months ago in, believe it was LFA. I'm not 100% sure. One of those organizations. And yeah, she's pretty much a newcomer. Wu Yanan, 5'8", 66-inch reach. Josie Edwards, 5'6", 68-inch reach. Wu Yanan, 1-2 in the UFC with an 11-3 record. Josie Edwards, 0-0 in the UFC with a 9-2 MMA record. Wu Yanan, 7 knockouts, 2 submissions. Josie Edwards, 5 knockouts, 3 submissions. Wu Yanan is returning to bantamweight after 2 flyweight bouts in a row in which she lost both of them. I think we've only ever seen, and I could be wrong about this, we've only ever really seen Yanan have success. Actually, and that's the funny part about this too. I thought this was going to be, and it was originally supposed to be a I believe this was supposed to be a flyweight bout. But now it's going to be bantamweight because of the fact that Josie's coming in on short notice, or it might even be a catchweight bout.
It's at 125 according to Tapology. I don't know how
really?
accurate that
okay.
is.
Okay.
And sorry, what weight did you say this is? Flyweights, and that's 115, right?
I thought it was 125. I
don't know. Could be either one. Is flat or strawweight lower than flyweight? Strawweight is flyweight, right? Strawweight's the 115. Yeah, you're right. It's at 125, so I think it's but you could be right about the allowance. It's definitely possible.
So I think she's actually 5'9" too. I think she's actually a little bit taller than 5'8". 504 days since her last fight. Like this is a huge layoff for someone like that. For anyone that's fighting, anyone that's in any type of sport, to not, you know what I mean, to professionally not do it for 504 days and then come back and fight. Her last fight was a split decision loss in China, I believe, to Mizuki Inoue. In that fight, she missed weight by 3 pounds. So it kind of makes sense why we kind of saw her, you know what I mean, kind of fade and kind of not have as much activity throughout the fight. She was kind of avoiding shots, but she was just landing and not really circling. She was landing some good lead leg kicks and a good counter as Mizuki came in a couple of times. It was a close first round, but didn't push the fight enough, looking to counter too much. She just kind of stood there, kind of really waiting for those perfect shots, trying to get that perfect counter in, and she really wasn't able to find it. Mizuki was kind of having her way. She was throwing lots of good shots, landing about the same. she has a problem of throwing the same combo over and over again and not changing it, is what I saw. Like, she would just constantly look for the exact same combo to throw at Mizuki, and Mizuki's a smart enough fighter to know that, I'm not going to walk into the 1-2-3, for example, every single time, set up the exact same way. You know what I mean? It's just not going to work. She does throw in bunches when she does throw. She doesn't really pick her shots very well. And she shot for a couple takedowns in that fight, but she wasn't able to finish any of them. She was basically walked down the whole fight, just firing back enough and countering in the last 25 seconds. She had a heavy flurry and possibly the hardest straight right of the fight. Like, nothing really went on in that fight. It was very boring. I'm probably making it up to sound a lot more exciting than it was. Then she fought Lauren Mueller, in which she got a submission win. That was a flyweight bout. She had heavy movement style as she was countering. She was using a good counter hook and slipping that into a leg kick. She was landing a good couple clinch hooks after the break. She was able to move and counter, like I said, like she was trying to do in the Inoue fight. But she was kind of moving a little bit too far and straight backwards sometimes. She wasn't angling out very well. She was the fight kind of got taken down to the ground, and she was quickly able to isolate the arm and slink in an armbar. I believe it was from the bottom. Then she had a fight against Gina Mazzani. Everyone knows who Gina Mazzani is. That was when she was making, this was years ago, she was making her UFC debut at 21 years of age. I believe this was in 2017 or 2018. She was hit and rushed pretty early in the fight with pressed into the clinch from Mazzani. There was a lot of good shots back and forth, but it was a lot of clinch work. Mazzani was able to get a good clinch takedown throw on her. She threw up that exact same armbar trying to get out of the couple of takedowns from Mazzani. She was just kind of walking through some hard shots from Mazzani, so she did show that she had a good chin, but she pretty much just kept taken down in that fight. She ended up throwing out her shoulder in the second round, which probably played into the fight. She was screaming about her shoulder and pointing at her shoulder, and kind of the coaches pretty much ignored it. She was pretty much just taken down again, as she only had that one arm to start the third round. And she was trying to pull up mission control and do something from there, but it just wasn't possible. She ended up losing, like I said, unanimous decision to Gina Mazzani. As far as Josie Edwards, on the other hand, like I said, 0-0 in the UFC. Just coming off of about a fight a couple months ago. She's late stepping in for Betch Correa on what I would call 7 days notice. They're calling it 7 days notice. I think it might be a little bit more. As far as her last fight, it was against Pamela Gonzalez. She got a KO win. She started off getting pressed. She was landing some good leg kicks. Pamela was a smaller opponent for Josie, that's for sure. She was able to kind of land a flurry of hooks that backed her opponent up, and then followed with a good knee right up the middle that landed and pretty much rocked her opponent. She then had a bunch of hard shots and a hard kick, like a hard head kick, that were parried all together, and that pretty much stopped the fight 30 seconds in. I don't really know what the skill level of Pamela was. It wasn't very high from what I could see. I believe they were fighting for a belt, though. That was a belt fight in LFA or whatever organization she was with. That was a belt fight. As far as she then also fought Sarah Alpar. She lost a split decision loss. She looked good, very good throwing her hooks, but lost the fight due to what I would kind of call, honestly, I watched that whole fight, and I honestly thought that I thought Josie might have won that fight. You know what I mean? I'm not the much of the judge myself, but I thought she probably might have won that fight. It was a split decision loss. It was very, very close as far as that whole fight went. And then she fought a fight against Brenda Gonzalez, in which she showed very crisp kickboxing, which is she does have. She's got a boxing background. She's purple belt in BJJ, possibly more now. She like that was, I believe, I don't know if that was her first amateur fight, but I think it was. She showed a lot of good wrestling in that fight, and I believe she had some wrestling experience in college, and she's able to just really use some good judo tosses and some good judo throws to take her opponents down, and they're very, very creative and very good. In this fight, I think it's definitely a toss-up when you got someone coming in on 8 days' notice. Are they going to be enough? Are they going to be too much? Are they UFC caliber? Are they not UFC caliber? I think it's definitely an uphill battle for her to begin with. The interesting part about this fight is that Yanan was planning on fighting at featherweight against Correa, which I'm pretty sure she was, and had much success fighting at bantamweight. But the fight being on 7 days' notice is why I believe that the fight is at featherweight. Dan, I'm not sure. You can let me know if I'm wrong. The level of athletic ability and well-roundedness of Edwards is actually surprising. She has been with UFC caliber level opponents such as Sarah Alpar, in which she lost that close decision. But she's only had the one fight in 2020, and it was 28-second knockout. You know what I mean? Like I said, the girl pretty much rushed her, and she was able to finish her. I believe that Edwards is probably going to try and use her size and power to take Yanan out, but Yanan has shown a fantastic chin and being able to take hard shots and kicks, pretty much looking unfazed and just walking right through them. Edwards could be in 3-round fight shape already, but it's highly unlikely that she is ready to strike and grapple with the likes of Yanan for 3 rounds. Therefore, I pick Yanan to win via decision due to the high pace that she can set, even though she herself hasn't been in the octagon for, something like 400 plus days. I'm probably going to go with Wu Yanan to win the fight via decision.
Yeah, I'm probably. I don't mind that pick at all. I don't see her based on what I haven't seen this other chick obviously whatsoever. But no, I think the UFC was trying to give at least they want Wu Yanan to have an opponent because she actually does have pretty decent set of skills, and obviously they're trying to get a China out of fight. If they were trying to give her Betch Correa, then obviously they want her to get a win. You know what I mean?
Yes, of course.
like literally probably the go-to fighter, probably the biggest meat sack in the women's flyweight division. And that's saying something. That's saying something, man. But I haven't been able to find anything about whether or not it's on flyweight or featherweight. But I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever.
No, not flyweight.
They are flyweights.
I know they're flyweights, but I think because of the 7 days notice, they're just going to move it up
to featherweight. Yeah, but I'm saying I can't find that. But honestly, I don't know if that with enough notice, that could be in just as it's just as much an advantage to Wu Yanan. I think she's not like she's a smaller girl. I don't know. I think it'll probably be a close fight. The odds are pretty close. Yeah. But I think with somebody, I'm probably with the odds that close, I'm tempted to bet on Wu Yanan, honestly.
Why the odds are that close? I'll probably
it's like a pick 'em fight.
If you're slight favoring someone that's coming in on a short notice to fill in, I'm probably gonna have to pick against you. I think we haven't seen.
No, I'm saying the opposite. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that Wu Yanan wins.
I know what you're saying, and I'm agreeing with you. I agree that's perfect. I said if
I don't know why the odds. I don't know why the odds are that close.
Well, check it on.
If you're saying she lost to Gina Mazzani pretty much because her shoulder was injured for a chunk of the fight, then
the whole last round, yeah.
Was she winning? Yeah, she was winning. I don't know, but
it was definitely a close fight. I would have said maybe 1-1 before that.
Yeah, and Mizuki Inu's a tough fight. I remember that fight.
And that was on. Yeah, that was a huge stage, man. You remember how crazy the fans were going just listening to that
in
one
China.
back.
It was the in China.
Yeah, in China when it was going. It was the fucking building.
Bunch of pressure, and she honestly split decision, went to distance. I don't know. Definitely consider betting on her. It's not even worth betting on her to go to the point to win on points at 2.1 instead of 1.8 straight up. But yeah, I'll probably throw Wu Yanan in a parlay.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. Next fight up here in the middleweight division at 185 pounds. Here we got a pretty exciting one as well. We got Phil Hawes taking on Nasruddin Imavov. Imavov. Sorry.
This is the last fight of the prelims, correct?
Last fight of the prelims. Phil Hawes, 6 foot with a 77.5-inch reach. Imavov, 6'3" with a 75.5-inch reach. Phil Hawes, 1-0 in the UFC with a 9-2 MMA record. Nasruddin Imavov, 1-0 in the UFC with a 9-2 MMA record. Phil Hawes, 7 knockouts, 2 submissions. Imavov, 3 knockouts, 4 submissions. The last fight we saw Phil Hawes in was a KO win over Jacob Malkoun. Malkoun's been one of those guys that is kind of one of those heavy-handed guys, but maybe a little bit shouldn't be maybe at that weight division. You know what I mean? He was kind of pressed a little bit in that fight. he's just was so less experienced than Phil Hawes. It was kind of like a small piece of chicken getting fed to a dog, and he pretty much just put a flurry of hooks on him. It took no more than 18 seconds. He just stunned him and just put him right down and finished that fight. As the next fight he had was against Kadiz Bestiev. He got a knockout win, another one. Crowded the bigger man right away with his good high-level kickboxing style. He has that ability to kind of stun you on the hands and feet. That's what he likes to do. Stalker. He's one of those stalker guys that likes to really just stalk you down. He throws a very good low kick, and he chops at the legs relentlessly, and that's what he did in the Bestiev fight, and that's what really kind of slowed him down, and kind of it made Bestiev throw a sloppy right hook in which he countered it perfectly. He ate that hook kind of partially and partially blocked it, but he countered with his own huge right hook, and he knocked the 6'6" opponent out stone cold with one shot, made him fall right to the canvas. And then he had a knockout loss actually 3 fights ago to Julian Marquez. This was his first Dana White Contender Series appearance fight. This was this was his last loss. Sorry. I believe he's got about how many wins in a row is it? Right,
he's got five wins in a row.
Yeah, so he's got the reason I wrote that fight down.
Yeah, because that was his last Contender Series fight. The other were 3 Brave and Bellator fights.
Dumpster. No, but if you look at the records of the guys, dumpsters. Look at them. Dumpster records. He literally didn't get his UFC, like the Julian Marquez fight, the knockout.
I don't know, but still, it's still impressive to go out there and finish 2 guys in the first round. And I don't know what round the third one, doesn't even say here, but to go out and finish 3 guys in a row after obviously Julian Marquez, who's a guy who's actually he's proven himself to be pretty solid. Went out there, beat Darren Stewart. Obviously, DiChirico's a threat. We're seeing him matched up later in this, not this card, but later in the week of fights. But I don't think there's too much shame in that loss against somebody.
But do you? I'm gonna explain it a little bit here. He was actually looking very good in the fight, but he was kind of implementing a different style. He was kind of shooting for a lot of takedowns. He was trying to clinch and shoot for a lot of takedowns. He looked to take Marquez's back and actually ended up hammering shots from the half guard. He was relentless in looking for that takedown throughout the first round, but he landed a really, really, really good lead elbow to end that first. In the second round, he was rocked with punches and not fully recovered on the feet. He got taken down himself from Marquez more than once. And then the final time that Marquez kind of let him up and he was pretty much out on his feet, so tired he couldn't even go. He ate a head kick 2 minutes into the round, right as he was standing up. I don't know if you remember that.
All right, I recall. I've definitely seen it. Probably going to look it up later to refresh my memory. But.
Yeah. As far as Imavov, the last fight we saw him in was a UD win against Jordan Williams. I don't like Jordan Williams. If we'll talk about him for a second, because me and you watched this fight live, and you pretty much heard me vocalize my opinion. This is kind of when my whole Contender Series thing kind of hate for the Contender Series, not hate, but kind of a difference with the Contender Series started to happen.
This was up at weight. He went up at weight, didn't he?
Who?
Fuck. I don't know. I thought Jordan Williams went up and went.
No, and Jordan Williams isn't a bad fighter. He was just taking shots. He was looking like a teabag the whole fight.
Because he does take shots.
But Imavov, let me just say, he stands pretty light on his toes and he uses like a karate style stance. He uses his weight very well and throws very good feints, like shifting his weight back and forth, like we see from like a kind of like a low budget Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He's got a good leg kick and he shoots. He shot for a right hand and got dazed with a head kick actually early in that fight, but I don't think he was that dazed. He instantly shot for the takedown though, and almost got it. Jordan Williams was able to keep him off. Actually, in that fight, I believe he got knocked down once from Jordan Williams. I believe. I could have been wrong. In my notes here, I have him getting knocked down by Jordan Williams in that fight. He was landing some good step-in 1-2s. He was rocked with a spinning back fist as well. He instantly shot for that takedown, clinching up against the fence. He threw up a guillotine and almost chokes out Williams before the round ends. That was like super tight. Like that most people probably would have tapped to. That was 15 seconds of him just squeezing a tight guillotine on him, and he was able to survive. So all the credit to Jordan Williams. Maybe Jordan Williams is a little bit better than I thought. He was showing a good pull counter. He was showing a heavy elbow shot to the fence. That looked really good. He was like punching off the break and out of the break and out of the clinch very well. He looked for another guillotine and wasn't able to tighten it up. He did show some good cardio in the third and was able to mix up his stiff, fast punches with his to the head in the body, and he was able to keep doing that throughout the fight. And honestly, that was impressive to me. It was like a guy like Jordan Williams, like pretty much ate all of his hardest shots and just kind of walked right through them and just kind of kept coming. And that was one of the most impressive things that I've seen. And Jonathan Mueller was another one of his KO wins, like right before the Jordan Williams fight. It was a fast pace for both men. They tried to start both men trying for a takedown right off the bat. Imavov able to stuff the takedown and grab the guillotine and throw punches on the break. Didn't end up getting the takedown. He then landed a large right hand that stumbled his opponent, followed by a hook that dropped him to the body. But then he got taken back down. And then he ended up basically reversing the position and getting the KO with, I believe, elbows on the ground. So in this fight, I think that between these two guys, it's really hard. This is one of the harder ones for me to call all night. I think that both of these guys have the ability to wrestle and finish their opponents. So like that always adds a huge question mark into everything. The question that being the fight was over 3, I don't know. Since he's like, I don't know. A lot of these opponents these people have fought, and it's kind of like in my notes I've kind of just written down about the guys that he's fought in between not winning the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. Even Malkoon was a pretty low, like a guy who only had 4 total fights to his name to that point. He was another Contender Series guy. So it's like, even the Malkoon win, you could kind of throw that up and say, well, what the fuck was that? Like that, even that guy doesn't have much skill, and you were able to rush him and knock him out in 18 seconds. I don't know. It's pretty much a pick 'em fight for me in my eyes. I see more ability from Imavov being able to push through the adversity and not make as many bad decisions, because Hayes is gonna be able to touch his chin. It's definitely gonna happen. Both guys have good, well-rounded games, and it may honestly come down to who wants it more, who's got better gas tank, and who's able to bring the fight to the other one more. My pick is Imavov for this fight, though. I do think he's going to be able to win. I'm not exactly sure. I would probably say it's safe to say on decision. I don't know. What are you thinking, Dan?
Yeah, it's definitely a close one. I'm leaning a little bit towards Philip Hawes. Not exactly sure why, but maybe also I think it's even if it'll probably be a close fight, and I think if anybody's gonna finish the fight, it'll probably be Hawes. That's probably kind of why I'm leaning, and I think he'll probably do a bit more damage over 15 minutes. Will he gas himself out? Probably. We'll probably see him gas later on in the fight. So, I don't know. I think we'll see Philip Hawes stronger at the beginning of the fight, and then maybe as we see Imavov grind him out later on, and we see a close decision here. But yeah, I'm just gonna. I'll for the sake of going against you, I'll go Philip Hawes.
Okay. And who are the? I want to check. I can't
even
read it. Who's the favorite and who's the underdog in this one?
I was just gonna pick it. I'm gonna pull it up real quick. I don't know. I didn't look on it, the original.
Oh,
Imavov's the slight underdog.
Okay. Maybe that.
Actually, not slight. He's at 2.1. Philip Hawes at 1.7. So.
Really? So it's shifted.
So what do you have it at in your graphic?
What do you mean? It has. You said he's at 2.1. You said. Imavov or Hawes?
Imavov. I think that's pretty similar to what that is. It's probably when you change over the formats. But yeah. Okay. So yeah, you got Imavov. I think that's a pretty decent under pick. Let me just pull up real quick, see what Imavov decision is, because I think that would be Imavov on points 4.5.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready to move on. Oh man, so that
Well,
was
then definitely
great.
that's
That's a
gonna be my
great way
pick
to.
then.
It's a great way to end off the prelims, man. That's a man. They ain't fucking around on this ABC card.
No, that's what I mean.
Dana White's
This
putting on a show.
yeah, it's a great card to start out the year. Like, and look at this. Yeah, look at this way to start it off. Punale Soriano, Dusko
Well, I think we
Todorovich.
rest in peace to the one fight, the
Yeah.
Akhmedov Tom Breeze fight, which was also going to be an awesome.
Gonna be
fight.
one of my huge underdog locks of the night. It was gonna fucking score too.
Do you know what it was?
Rest in
Was
peace
it
to
a COVID?
COVID.
Was it?
Yeah,
a
it was COVID. No, it was illness. I think it was illness, just general illness. Might have been COVID though. I think it was COVID. Fuck it, call it COVID.
Well, I hope it's a general illness. Let's hope for that, and hopefully we see that fight thrown onto a card soon, because I think that's a good matchup.
Yeah, they should definitely keep that same bout. I hope they do.
I'm sure they will. If it's not something too major, because like the worst part about COVID is sometimes you got the guys that have the long-term effects, and it honestly actually affects their training for a while. Like
yeah, that's like what we're seeing.
Happened to Hamzat.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing with him. That's gonna be the next question. But on to this fight, Punale Soriano, 5'11", 72.5-inch reach. Dusko Todorovich, 6'1", 74-inch reach. Punale 2-0 in the UFC with a 7-0 record, 4 knockouts, 2 submissions. Dusko 6 knockouts. 2-0 in the UFC as well. This is why this makes this match so exciting to start off the main card with a 10-0 record. Punale Dusko 6 knockouts, 3 submissions. He said 6 first-round wins. I believe how many first-round wins has Punale had? I believe it's something crazy as well.
Here, I can grab it real quick.
So yeah, as far as
first round, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
He's only had 7 fights, so you tell me. Both guys have had 6 first-round wins. Is that what you're trying to tell me? No way.
I would be surprised, man. And he has 2 first round. Is in his amateur career. He's 4-0. 2
just give me his
first round
career.
finishes. No, but I'm just saying he's finishing guys.
Okay, so yeah, this is a fucking spark fest, like we were already saying to start out the main card. They are not fucking around. Dana White's not fucking around.
Son of middleweight killers.
And Punale is not just a guy who can just throw hands. He's an All-American college wrestler. He kind of was getting fat after finishing university and college and not really knowing what to do, and decided he was gonna go do some MMA, and here he is. He's honestly been doing a great job. He trains with who does he train with? Rob Font, I believe. Who's he train with, Dan? You know who he trains with. He trains with your boy. He trains with your boy. What's his name? Makes the bets.
Bilal?
Yeah, he trains with Bilal, I think.
He fights out of Hawaii. I don't know. I know he trains in the same camp. I think he's like in the same camp. It's in a pretty big camp. He might be in Sanford. Oh, apparently he fights at Extreme Couture.
But as far as his fights, we saw him knock out Oscar Piota. He throws Punale, like I said, he really relies on his hands. Does a little bit of kicking, but really relies on his hands and his ability to kind of explode and throw these weird shots and just flurries of punches. But he can wrestle as well and can take you down. He in that whole kind of fight, he kind of just looked to kind of get into phone booth range, and he's kind of one of those guys that takes a shot to give one. He kind of took a shot and then gave a rear left hook because he fights from the southpaw position. He was able to drop Piota and then follow up with heavy shots. He then took his back and flattened about, and he got threatened by a Kimura. But then he was that was the end of the round. He stays in a good wrestling base, as we saw Piota was started to shoot later on in the fight because he was getting too touched up on the hands and feet. And then we kind of saw him eventually just kind of walk Piota down in the second round, I think. Was it second or first, Dan? I don't think it was second. I don't think it was the first round.
Against Piota, yeah.
It wasn't the first. So we ended up seeing him walk him down in that first round. All that action happened in one round. He ended up walking him right down and slumping him with a good overhand. And that fight was that. Against Jamie Pickett, he had a UD win, which honestly, Pickett has a really good chin. He's able to take some really, really hard shots. He also took some really good hard shots from Pickett, and Pickett's a little bit of a puncher himself. He's definitely not the biggest puncher, but he's very, very physically gifted and a lot bigger and longer of a guy than Punale, so Punale had to definitely cover that distance. He was able to get a couple good ankle sweep takedowns and a couple takedowns. He swings so hard coming in, and I think a lot of people are expecting him to get gassed out when they see this guy fight, but that's actually not the case. Punale's got a pretty good gas tank. He's able to kind of stay in there, He was able to stumble Pickett with big punches at the end of the first round. He was able to get a good takedown in the third round to start out, and he was laying on him, punching him basically for the rest of the fight in that third round, trying to get him out of there. The Jonathan Petit fight was a submission win. Was a submission win. He was able to basically sit him down in the first 3 minutes with the heavy strikes. The Petit fight was not in the UFC. He was able to basically sit him down and then get on top of him, take his back, and choke him out. Jonathan Petit, I believe, was KO'd by Jamie Pickett, which is just a funny, kind of a funny thing. You know what I mean? On the other hand here, Dusko Todorovich, 2-0 in the UFC with 10-0 MMA record, 6 knockouts, 3 submissions, 6 first-round finishes, like I already mentioned, versus Daquan Townsend. He's coming off of a knockout win to Daquan Townsend. Daquan is kind of what I would call more of a another one of these guys. I wouldn't call him a meat sack. Let's not give him the maybe we'll give him the meat sack title. He was just showing that he has good stand-up in that fight. He was landing 2 hard shots that pretty much stumbled Townsend right off the bat. Dusko's kind of got somewhat of a kind of a wider style stance. I would almost like to say karate, but it's somewhat like that. He always lands those big shots with heavy hands. He has good clinch shots, and he does a lot of work from the body. Does a lot of work to the body in that clinch. He moves his head very, very well, but he does drop his hands occasionally when he's walking people down. He was walking down Townsend pretty much the entire fight. Townsend did not have an answer for any of the shots. He also does this thing. Dusko does this thing, and I'm sure we're gonna see it where he's moving backwards. Dan, you can see me, and he's fucking dropping his hands, and he's fucking going like this, moving his head, and he's just it's the absolute formula for a guy like Punale to fucking clip you and turn your lights out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Not even fully turn his lights out. Maybe just enough to just drop him, and then he just hops on top and either gets a choke or just starts absolutely raining down bombs. As far as the Teddy Ash fight, we saw Dusko Todorovich take Teddy Ash on, and Teddy Ash is a Canadian. We saw a bunch of good Canadians like Tanner Bozer in the corner and stuff like that during that fight. That was a UD win in which, honestly, like, people around that fight, the referee was screaming at them to get some action. You know what I mean? Like, not a lot was going on in that whole first round. He was pretty much just clinched up against the fence, holding Teddy Ash there, just doing a lot of dirty boxing. Ash did come at him and hit Dusko with some pretty good shots, but wasn't able to put him down. He was basically just able to hold Ash against the fence for majority of that fight, and that's pretty much why they kept getting all these warnings and stuff like that. Like I said, kept showing that he moves with his chin back in the air, constantly does that, and that's a recipe for disaster against a guy that can punch. I guess especially against a guy that can punch accurately, or if you don't even see that shot, you might even just get clipped with it. He did show some pretty good cardio in the third, still being able to put it on Ash and kind of keep that same clinch pressure against the side of the cage and landing good shots. Another good fight that we saw between Dusko is we saw him take on Michel Pereira in the Serbian Fighting Championship. Dan, did you know that?
Michel Pereira?
In the Serbian Fighting Championship.
Yeah,
so there was
seeing that. It's pretty insane.
there was
Not
a lot
surprised somehow.
A lot of grappling clinch style work as he was trying to land that power right. Pereira was kind of circling away from him. Pereira was kind of getting up to his normal antics a little bit at the fence, kind of hands down, waving him on a little bit. And he was looking to land a lot of good body shots in the clinch like we've seen from Todorovich. Basically he ended up blitzing Pereira with a flurry of a jab and then a cross and then a couple of hooks. Right before the round ended with about 20 seconds, and he sat him down and just ended that fight with about 4 other shots. The ref had no choice but to step in. As far as that fight goes, honestly, this is a pretty much this is a hard one to call. Dan, what do you think? And I'm going to listen to what you got first on this one.
Man, they're just making these fights. They're just trying to make these fights as good as possible and as close as possible. These are so tough. Some of these are so tough to pick. Like,
I know.
There's so many different ways this fight could go, but I don't know. I kind of just have a feeling that Punahele gets it done for some reason. I think we may see Dusko a little bit too confident and get clipped. But like, have you ever? I don't know. Has he ever been? Has his chin really tested that much, or Dusko? I mean,
Like I said, we saw him eat a couple good shots from Townsend. Townsend's not the biggest puncher,
man,
but he's got some
I'm not.
knockouts.
That's don't even.
Okay, the Teddy Ash fight, we saw him take some good shots in the Teddy Ash fight.
Okay, yeah. Obviously, he's a brawler. Obviously, and coming out of that kind of area too, but.
I don't know.
I don't know. This
I'm
is
gonna
a super
probably
tough one. This is
what are the actual odds for this fight? Like on the actual.
Punahele is the underdog.
Okay, yeah,
I
I'm going with
he's
Punahele. I'm going with Punahele.
Bit of a even bigger underdog now.
Yeah, I'm going Punahele.
He's at like 2.3 to 1.
I'll be taking Punahele, and you're gonna say, well, that's fucking nuts. Way less experience, and I'm gonna say,
no, I don't think so. I don't think.
Yeah, no, I mean just people in general, and I'm gonna say, yeah, you're probably right, but I'm gonna go with Punahele Soriano, just due to the fact that I am a fan of his personally. I do like him. I think he's a pretty funny guy. I do think that we haven't seen a lot out of him yet. We've pretty much just seen him knock people out. So I think this fight's definitely a telling fight right off the bat. Like UFC is just making this is a bait fight for sure. This is a fight that's one guy's gonna sorely take an L and right at 2-0 in their UFC career, and both of them. So it's gonna be exciting. Both guys are fighting for a lot.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
somebody's always got to go. It's always gonna be a good, entertaining fight.
Of course. I think I'm gonna have to take Punahele.
Yeah, especially like I think it's pretty much a toss-up fight, and as the underdog, yeah, I agree. I love Punahele too. I think honestly we may have to see him use a bunch of his wrestling in this fight to get the win.
Yeah, that's what I'm. No, that's what I'm thinking.
If he can't get him out of there, if he can't get him out of there early, he's gonna have to grind the hell out of this guy.
That's what I'm thinking too. That's what I'm thinking.
Because I don't think he can. While he's got the power advantage, probably I don't think he can stand there and trade with him.
No, so I don't think so either. I think he has to be smarter.
He's gonna make. Yeah, he's got to make this a scrap, make this a MMA fight, and I don't know what sort of pedigree does Dusko have grappling wise. Do you know?
I'm not 100% sure off the bat. I believe he is a what the fuck is it called? I can't remember it. He's from that Serbian fight team. I don't remember what his grappling background is. He definitely does have grappling experience. Like he's not one of those guys that's just going in there to knock you out. He can definitely grapple.
He's got a guillotine and a rear naked choke on his first fight he ever won was the guillotine. So
I think I'm good with going with Punahele for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very close fight though.
And then they got this.
Or we could see Punahele turn his lights out, but I don't know. I don't really see that, to be honest. I don't think Dusko's really just gonna get knocked out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Let me pull up, see if we have a.
Even this next one's a banger. You know what I mean?
They're not. He's not. Yeah, they're not exactly just gonna slow down here. Even obviously they usually start off with a great fight, but.
Yeah.
Punahele on points, 5-1. I think that one's kind of tough though. Him by.
I might take that. I could see myself being crazy enough to take Punahele on points.
Him by finish 3.4. We see Todorovich.
No, I'm gonna take him by decision probably. Take Punahele by decision.
Either way, I see that fight going the distance. To be honest,
for sure.
And you can get that at 2.3 to 1 odds.
Perfect.
I think that's honestly a good thing to bet. Just honestly considering how many variables are in this fight. So.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm crazy, and I'll probably bet on Punahele because I'm a fan. I'm a fan of him too. So you'll probably see me cheering for him on Saturday.
But as far as this next fight goes, we got a crazy matchup, another crazy matchup. 185 pounds. Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah, DiCirico is on this card. Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah,
I was mentioning him earlier.
DiCirico. DiCirico. That's it. Joaquin Buckley, 5'10" with a 76-inch reach. DiCirico, 6 foot with a 74-inch reach. Buckley, 2-1 in the UFC with a 12-3 MMA record. DiCirico, 5 in the UFC with a 12-5 MMA record. 9 knockouts, no submissions for Buckley. 5 KOs, 4 submissions for DiCirico. Joaquin Buckley's more of one of those, we've seen him. Everyone knows who Joaquin Buckley is now, especially with this huge, the Impa Casagna crazy knockout that he basically ended up having, even though Casagna Consagnia was coming on in the end of that fight. And in that second round, I do think he was having a little bit more success and kind of starting to figure out the game plan in order to beat a crazy puncher like Joaquin Buckley. And he does have the ability to wrestle too. He's an ex-college wrestler, but he's pretty much just a puncher stalker who gets you in that phone booth type range and will try and clip you. But in the Consagnia fight, we saw him, you know what I mean, early in that fight, pretty much rocking Impa.
I think you should start with
the Jordan Wright fight.
No, I think you should start with Kevin Holland.
Okay,
that's pretty much what we really first saw.
Okay, so we first saw Joaquin Buckley take on Kevin Holland. It was a knockout loss. It was a short notice fight, and it was 8 days since his last fight. He had no camp and no planning going into that fight to take on Kevin Holland. We know that Kevin Holland is who he is. Kevin Holland's big and long, 6'3" with like an 80-inch reach. He's got those dynamics to, you know, definitely put maybe even more than 80, but definitely enough to put on a hard task for a guy like Joaquin Buckley, being only 5'10" and 76 inches, having a 76-inch reach, to get in there and inside to score against Kevin Holland, especially when he wants to get the knockout. He was swinging big throughout the fight, but Holland's, like, we know him. He's very slick. He's able to move with a lot of these punches. He's able to get out of the way and kind of circle out. He's able to use that jab from great distance and really tag Buckley. And that's kind of what the whole thing was, is he was so heavy on that front leg. So he had no way other than to try and get in on Holland, that Holland had a couple easy things he could do. Leg kick him, punch him, throw elbows as he came in. Holland was able to drop Joaquin Buckley early in that fight, I believe in the first round, with a sneaky right cross, because, like I said, Joaquin Buckley's just trying to close that distance and get inside, and Kevin Holland just bloop right down the middle with the right hand, knocking him right down to the ground. He was able to get up and recover. He does have that physical strength, like we've already said. Like he's just, if you look at him, he's like a physical tank. He does have the ability to throw good leg and body kicks. We did see it in that fight. But like I said, Holland was able to just stay at range, use his length, pick his shots, and counter Buckley as he was coming in. Holland was able to stick and move and caught Buckley with the perfect right hand, sitting him right down and ending that fight. The referee just ended up stepping in right away. As far as on the other hand, DiCirico, 3-5 in the UFC, 12-5, like I already said, in his MMA career, 5 knockouts, 4 subs. He's coming off a unanimous decision loss to Zach Cummings, in which he showed really good leg kicks and movement to be able to stay in the right range and kind of like pick his shots against Zach. He was able to land some hard right hands as Cummings was walking in. He does step in with his heavy hands as well, just like Joaquin Buckley. Both guys like to really step in and throw right on that lead foot. He's very susceptible to low kicks and can be eaten up in the low leg. His pace is very slow. Him and Zach Cummings fought at a very slow pace, and that's the kind of pace like I've seen in these DiCirico fights that he likes to fight. Oh, sorry, I don't even know why I swapped over right away about Buckley. We know that Buckley, as far as we know the Impa Consagnia fight, I talked about the Kevin Holland fight. The Consagnia fight, he was able to rock him early, and then we obviously know he was able to hit him with that spinning rear kick to the head, which was able to basically turn out Impa's lights for a couple of seconds and get him the win. As far as his most recent win for Buckley was against Jordan Wright, the Beverly Hills Ninja. He's not too much of a prospect. He was 11-0 coming into that fight, with a majority of his wins being against guys that were lower level or kind of can guys.
I'd say he's a prospect. Like you got to give him. Well, he was going into that fight. He was a challenge that they were trying to throw at him. I think he was definitely. Okay, obviously, we think less of him now, but
obviously he didn't even look bad. He looked pretty good, but obviously he just got clipped twice with those. He got clipped once, sat down, was able to kind of recover at the end of that first round, and then to start the second round, he got crowded by Buckley right off the start and got finished with another one of those right hands. As far as DiCirico, like I was saying, he's coming off that UD loss to Zach Cummings, in which he kind of showed a lot of good things. He showed he was able to kind of land on Cummings as he was walking in. Both these guys are very heavy-handed. DiCirico is very susceptible to low kicks, and in that fight there wasn't a lot going on. The pace was a very, very slow one, in which I think that in most of DiCirico's fights, I've seen him fight that pace. That's the way he likes to do it. He likes to have it at that slow kind of tendency. He has a tendency to stop moving his head and eat more punches than he should be. He ate a head kick right at the end of the third round, and was basically knocked down at the buzzer, basically knocked out. He tried to get up right away and was wobbling and ended up falling over again before getting attended to by the doctors because the fight was over. But he ended up losing that fight. He fought Makhmed Muradov, in which he lost another UD loss. He was trying to catch a jab and counter with his right hand a lot of that fight. He ended up rushing into the shots and getting tagged. And then pretty much that entire fight, he just didn't look like he was able to bring it against a guy like Makhmed Muradov. And he was just getting tagged the entire fight. He just wasn't able to find his range, wasn't able to find his rhythm in that fight. And then here's another common opponent that we found here. He's also fought Kevin Holland, except he lost a UD loss. So it was a back and forth first round where DiChirico was actually able to land a huge elbow and get a good takedown on Holland. Some would call it a knockdown on Kevin Holland. I don't know. I don't think I would. But it was very telling to see that, like, he does have that power and he is able to stand in there with guys like Kevin Holland and not actually get knocked out. Holland was able to land the more meaningful punches and pretty much use his range to that advantage throughout the entire fight and kind of get a rhythm, kind of like when we saw Buckley fight Holland. Like, maybe in the beginning Kevin Holland's not fully in his groove, but he really does get into that groove in the second and the third, and he takes that fight away. You know what I mean? Honestly, right. I think in this fight, this is another really hard one to pick. Who would you pick? I'm gonna let you pick this one first again.
I don't know. I think Buckley kind of just keeps his momentum going. I probably won't bet on the fight, but because I think he's too big of a favorite, but the fight will be closer. I think. I don't think we see Joaquin Buckley finish him. Could be wrong, obviously. Anything can happen. We know that for sure when it comes to this guy, but I think we maybe see maybe Buckley squeak out maybe a closer decision than the line reflect.
Yeah, okay, I would probably agree. I don't know. As far as I go, I think I'm probably going to have to take Joaquin Buckley in this fight. I think that you're right. Probably the hype is there's a little bit of hype building around this guy, and maybe a little bit of it is unnecessary. You know what I mean? Like I said, I think Impo was kind of coming on in right when he kind of got caught, but that's fighting though. You're going to get caught, and a guy like Joaquin Buckley, his kind of goal is to catch you. I think DiChirico is probably going to get caught. I think just the way he leaves his head, I think it's going to end up in him getting caught by Buckley. I don't know if he's going to end up getting knocked out, but I do see Joaquin Buckley taking this fight and winning.
Right. Yeah. I don't like that's what I was saying. Like, the line doesn't really. Like, if you're feeling DiChirico, if you're feeling like 3-1, he's a pretty decent underdog there. But yeah, I don't know. There's nothing too appealing for me as far as, like, obviously the line's favoring Buckley KO TKO, but I don't know. It'll be an interesting one. I'll probably but Buckley on points at 3.4 when he's that big of a favorite, I think is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree. Now, as far as this next fight goes, this is another fucking crazy fight. Like, I think they just keep it coming. Like you said, it only gets better with these cards. The UFC's only trying to keep building it up, keep making the fights better as the night goes on. You know what I mean? So we got a welterweight bout going on here between Santiago Ponzinibbio and Li Jingliang. Santiago Ponzinibbio, 6 foot with a 73-inch reach. Li Jingliang, 6 foot with a 71.5-inch reach. Santiago 9-2 in the UFC with a 27-3 record. Li Jingliang 9-4 in the UFC with a 17-6 record. Santiago's 15 knockouts, 6 submissions. Li Jingliang 8 knockouts, 4 submissions. Santiago's last fight was 791 days ago. Is that not fucking crazy? It was in 2018.
Santiago.
It was in right before the end of 2018. And
oh god. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
As far as the last time we saw him in there, that last fight that we saw him in there against someone, it was actually Neil Magny, and that's when Neil Magny, you know, maybe was kind of going on that little bit of a skid, but like Ponzinibbio said in his interview, since I beat Neil Magny, look how much better he's gotten. It was a knockout win over Neil Magny. Basically ended up walking him down, moving his head well, looking to land a big shot. Ponzinibbio's got a fucking repeater jab. He's got a beautiful jab that he's able to throw out there, especially against a guy like Magny who had 7 inches of reach on him, a couple more than that, maybe less than that. Magny's got a crazy reach, like a 78-inch reach, like a 79-inch reach. Magny's got that crazy reach as well. And he was able to hurt Magny pretty much instantly with a couple of straight jabs to the eye. And throughout that fight, Magny was covering that eye up and really guarding it. He was mixing it up to the body very well and even throwing in some good leg kicks. Magny was moving beautifully, though, like trying to get out of the way of a lot of these shots, you know what I mean? But also Ponzinibbio was just that little bit better as far as movement-wise and was able to kind of meet him perfectly wherever he moved. He was landing some very, very hard leg kicks on Magny, which ended up sitting him down once or twice. I think in the entire fight, he landed 2 or 3 leg kicks that sat Magny down. That's how hard they were. And instantly, I think we saw after he landed that leg kick, we could see that Magny was a little bit hesitant with putting full weight on that leg, and it was a little bit compromised. He was, like I said, he ended up using that perfect jab throughout the fight. He ended up using the other eye. He ended up hurting the eye again. I believe he cut it over the eye or he cut the other eye. Magny ended up getting on his bike and was pretty hurt. This fight was a 5-round fight at the time because it was a main event. He was consistently walking Magny down, hitting him with good shots, even moving well into even into the 4th round. He looked like he had good cardio, and he dropped him with another leg kick. And these leg kicks that Ponzinibbio throws are no fucking joke. They're very hard and they're very crisp, just like the jab. He then dropped Magny with 2 big hooks, with a big hook 2 minutes into the 4th round. Magny was too compromised to be able to continue, and the referee had to come in and stop it. As far as the fight before that was one of Dan's favorites, Mike Perry. Unanimous decision win over Mike Perry in December 16th, 2017.
Shut up, Ocean.
He walked down Mike Perry. He was moving well on the outside, throwing that leg kick. He was hit with a couple hard right hands from Perry, but he was able to recover and get a takedown. He was throwing more hands, landing these good combos on Perry, and he cut Perry with the jab as well as he did to Magny. Like, that jab for him is a huge tool, like it should be for a lot of fighters. He definitely started to turn up as Perry started to get more tired. And he noticed that Perry was getting more tired, and that's when he started to, turn it up, landing more leg kicks, hurting the leg, hurting Perry, trying to go at him with brawling and blitzing. He was able to land multiple takedowns in the 3rd, as Perry was pretty tired, and he was able to mount and land shots. He even kept the momentum going forward, realizing Perry was tired, and he ended up getting that unanimous decision win. He also then fought previously to that in 2017 as well, fought Gunnar Nelson when Gunnar Nelson was kind of Gunnar Nelson, you know what I mean? The Gunner, Gunny. And that was a KO when he got over Gunnar Nelson, and this was 40 seconds into the 1st round, I think, or a couple minutes into the 1st round, maybe a minute or 2. He found the distance and basically was able to unleash a barrage of punches on Nelson, sleeping him against the fence. As far as on the other hand, Li Jingliang, 9-4 in the UFC, 17-6 in MMA, 8 knockouts, 4 submissions versus Neil Magny. He also just fought Neil Magny, but this was 2020 Neil Magny, you know what I mean? So this is a guy who's significantly improved since fighting Ponzinibbio back in 2018, at the end of 2018. We saw a lot of good things from Magny. We saw in this fight, honestly, like I said, huge improvement for him. We saw Li Jingliang throw some good leg kicks. He was looking for the clinch early. He hurt Magny with a good punch off the break, but Magny was able to recover. He was actually taken down by Magny, but he was able to get back up. Magny was able to use his range and kind of dictate the fight the way he wanted it to go instead of moving backwards the whole time. And he was using the good jab, the good right hand, and he was able to kind of stun Li Jingliang. Li Jingliang wasn't hurt, but he wasn't able to kind of move through all that and kind of get to what he needed to get to, as far as, which is what he likes to do, knock people out. Li Jingliang likes to walk people down and knock them out, you know what I mean? Neil was able to hold him against the fence and deal a lot of damage throughout the fight. kind of keeping him there. I don't know if it was a cardio issue or if it was something else. He didn't deal well with the pressure from Magny. Like, as far as if Magny was coming forward that whole fight, Li Jingliang definitely, like I said, he was kind of looking almost a little bit stunned, like, the whole time. Like, he sits very flat-footed as well, so it's like, it was pretty easy for Magny, a mover, who's able to kind of, like, find those angles, you know what I mean? And he was getting taken down in the third, and he was kind of, as the commentators said, he was looking outclassed. And I really thought that was a standout word that I would bring into this, because that's what they're saying, and we kind of saw it in the Magny fight. But was it Magny just getting very good and kind of rising up again as kind of a new contender, you know what I mean? Or was it Li Jingliang just not having enough tools in the toolbox to be able to go against a guy that's higher, like a higher level than that? And maybe is it like is this just a feeler fight for Ponzinibbio to see where he's at as far as coming off of this blood infection that he had, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Elizo Santos was the guy that Li Jingliang knocked out before he fought Neil Magny. He once again showed his good leg kicks and traded very well with his opponent. He had some good hooks and a kick in the pocket, but he always keeps moving forward. He dropped Santos with a huge right hand 20 seconds before the end of the round. Santos recovered and got into the clinch before that round ended. He landed a really, really hard right to start the second. And then he definitely prefers, like I said, to not be pressed and to be able to dictate the fight himself. And he doesn't have a very high volume output, Li Jingliang, other than when he's in range. Like, if you're going to stand in range and give him the ability to punch him, yeah, sure, he'll throw a million punches. But if you're moving like in a fight like you should be and not just standing in the phone booth, like, it's going to definitely make him think twice about what he's throwing and, you know what I mean, about how he's going to fight you. He ended up catching Santos with a huge uppercut, as well as being huge uppercut towards the end of that fight, and he was just being super aggressive. Like, Santos was trying to come in, he was trying to come in. Like I said, that's what Li Jingliang wants. He wants you to sit in the phone booth and stand in that close enough range to get caught by like a good hook or a good overhand. As far as the David Zawada fight, that was in 2018. He fought David Zawada. That was a knockout win. He was stalked by Zawada early and throughout the first round. He dropped with a right hand in the first. He was actually dropped with a right hand in the first by Zawada. He was flowing with his punches and rolling with his shots well, but he was able to get a good takedown and land some shots. He put a high pace on this fight, which is actually kind of weird, because these last two fights that we've seen, which have been in 2020, they haven't been that high pace. You know what I mean? They haven't been a high pace fight like the Zawada fight. The Zawada fight was very back and forth. He got timed with a knee that was very good by Zawada. He was able to kind of get bullied a little bit by Zawada, but he was able to slow that pace down. Like I said, he likes to slow it on down, and he was able to land some good shots, mainly the overhand right. The one thing that we did see in that fight and in a couple of his fights is he telegraphs a lot of his shots when he throws them. And then his leg was so battered by the third round that he was able to basically get a good body kick finish, in which he, I believe it was a side kick to the body, and he finished Zawada up against the fence. Zawada was basically done. He did not have anything left in him. As far as that fight goes, oh man, it's one of the more difficult fights on the card to pick, because of the uncertainty that's probably behind it, and the uncertainty that's behind Ponzinibbio due to his big his 2-year layoff from the UFC. Sorry, 1 second. He had a staph infection at some point, and he's definitely itching to get back at fighting again and getting back into the UFC to try and get ranked again. And he's been talking a lot about going to become the champion. So I mean, if he's saying stuff like that, I hope it's not just to say it. I hope it's definitely to be serious about it. Basically, what ended up happening is he had a huge blood staph infection for multiple months, and they basically, Dan, you're gonna say this is fucking crazy. I don't know if you've heard about this. They put him on medication that was improper, but they didn't know, and he took the medication, and it ended up killing off a bunch of his like white blood cells. And so basically he like got sick or something, and he was like, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me. Went back into the doctor, and they're like, what the fuck are you on? Like, this shit's killing you. You know what I mean? And he's like, oh, Jesus fuck. Christ. He spent multiple months. I think he said 7 months on IV just dealing with the blood staph infection in the beginning. And then he spent 2 months on a different IV of something else after the improper medication problem. So that's fucking crazy. He says
he
that
better get the bag like Yoel Romero. Jesus.
he says that everything is in his past. He's been spending 2020 training with ATT. So hopefully we see
Beautiful.
something good. Hopefully we see something good out of Ponzinibbio. We never know if he's ever going to be the same fighter. We can only judge him from what we basically see him, and we want him to bring the same tools that once had him ranked. I think we'd love to see him get ranked again. I think this fight definitely is going to be a fight of the night contender for sure, if not the fight of the night. Li Jingliang, the main event could definitely butt in there to take it, but Li Jingliang is one of those guys that's definitely has the tools, and he's just honestly, in my opinion, hasn't shown to have a bit more of a toolbox. You know what I mean? He can definitely sit there and stand and fight and bang with you, but like I said, if you move a little bit against him and you present problems like a guy like Neil Magny, you know what I mean? It's not good. I think, in my opinion, it's the leg kicks of Ponzinibbio. He's going to definitely hammer those home on a heavy-footed Lee for sure.
Right. Well, I was going to say, Ponzinibbio has some elite stand-up, and I don't know if it's kickboxing or Muay Thai, but he's very, very sharp, and he's...
Yeah.
If we do see anything that resembles the guy that we saw before the layoff,
yeah,
I think he's going to go out there and absolutely dismantle Li Jingliang. It may not
That's
be...
what he's saying. That's what he's saying.
It may not be in one shot, because Lee's got a pretty good chin on him, but he does just try and walk people down, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
So that may result in him getting taken out in the first, but I could say maybe... especially he starts ripping the legs down, drags him later into the fight, starts working the body. We could see him maybe finish him later, second or third round. But obviously, it's a bit of a question mark with the layoff. But I don't see how Santiago doesn't win this one. He's just a way higher level of a striker, and that's the kind of game that Lee's going to try and play. So I don't see how he wins that. So
yeah,
I'm going to go Ponzinibbio second round, finish late in the second.
I actually my pick is Ponzinibbio to win by decision, but he's been saying he's gonna come in there and destroy Li Jingliang. You know what I mean? He's ready to come make a statement to the UFC that he's back and that he's okay and he's healthy. I wish the very best to him. I do think that I do want him to get the knockout. I am picking Ponzinibbio to win this fight. I don't know what the odds are at. Let me just check.
Oh, Ponzinibbio is a big favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's at yeah.
Wow, they're hating on the Leech.
Well, I think honestly, the only reason the only question mark is the layoff. If we see it, if you want
the layoff, if you want fucking staph infection in his blood.
Yeah, but that's modern medicine can. I don't know, especially if he's training at ATT now too. He's the better striker. If we see the two guys, even if Santiago isn't 100%, he still wins that fight.
You think, eh?
I think so. I like second round 6-1 odds. That's probably what I'm gonna end up betting. I'll do my classic second, third round split maybe.
Well, I definitely like Ponzinibbio in this fight. I know where it feels like I'm picking up a lot of underdogs as I look at these odds at the end after I break these fights down. But on to the next fight, the co-main event of the evening.
Ponzinibbio, he's a massive favorite.
This is definitely.
And we just took. We just took Buckley, who's also a big favorite. But before that, no, you're right. A decent amount of underdogs. We had Punahele, Imavov, the Wu Yinan ones that was toss-up. But no, yeah, we've got some decent underdogs.
Why is she? Oh yeah, she's an underdog. Yeah, we're taking.
No. She's not an underdog, but it's like a 1.8.
Yeah, it's
so
way
I think
too close.
Throwing her into a parlay is a great idea.
Why the fuck do they not give us a little bit something to bite off and chew on that? I don't know. Maybe they thought if they made it to one-sided because of the.
We probably already got movement on the women's fight.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's probably just whatever. It doesn't even matter.
It is a weird one. I think we'll probably see that move in Yanan's favor probably pretty hard on when we get closer to Saturday. So I'd honestly if you're thinking about making a parlay sooner rather than later, I'd maybe include that because that's probably one that'll move.
Yeah, that's for sure. I would agree. This co-main, this is fuck me. This is crazy. I mean,
so Pat, how do you think Santiago wins the fight? Did you say?
Yeah, I said I originally had a pick by decision. I wouldn't be surprised if he does come out there and knock him out, but I just think, man, I think that
let me see. Has Lee ever been stopped? No, he lost by decision to Jake Matthews.
He's got a fucking chin, man.
He's been choked out, split decision.
He's got a chin, man.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think he's ever been knocked out.
He's got a chin. He just walks through punches.
That's what I'm saying though. But like somebody likes it's because like
I think you're more likely. No.
Neil
Listen,
Magny's a pretty good striker, but somebody with a like sometimes you just need a guy that's accurate enough to hit you on the button. I
think it's going to be more so he's going to batter that front leg, and if anything, like we could see it. Maybe not a knockout, but maybe a stoppage due to the fact that his leg's so fucked.
That's kind of more so what I was thinking in like the second or third round. Him literally just kind of breaking him down physically. And like,
It's so hard to tell like what kind of Ponzinibbio we're going to see, what his game plan's going to be. Is his fight style going to have changed? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. It's like it's a little bit over 2 years, but like you'd be saying the same kind of shit about I was gonna say
I don't know. Doesn't even matter. You want to break down this co-main?
My mind was just blanking the guy who's fighting Hamzat. I don't know why.
Oh, Leon Edwards?
Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't grasp.
That happens with me all the time. I blank
on
name.
Yeah, no, Leon. I was gonna say like just because the guy's like he's not reinventing the wheel here. Just because he's had an infection doesn't mean he hasn't been training either. Like we know he's gonna come at him with it's gonna be a striking battle. I don't think he's not gonna be taking this to the ground, and especially like somewhere at ATT, he's just only gonna make a guy like that even better. So. I don't know. I'm confident.
Oh,
you're right.
The Ponzinibbio blood infection. Yeah, that is fucking crazy, Jelly? It's fucking nuts, eh? The Ponzinibbio.
No, he better get the bag UL style.
They should definitely give him. I hope he wins this fight, man. I hope he works his way to get back getting ranked. I love this talk about him going for the title. Like I think that's a little bit overzealous, maybe, but fuck it. I love it. I'm all in. As far as this co-main event of the evening, we got a welterweight bout between Carlos Condit and Matt Brown. This is
wow. Whew. I can't believe this. Honestly,
can't believe it's co-main, but whatever.
Knocking on wood that we actually get this fight actually happening on the map because I don't know what is this. How many times has this fight been booked, Pat?
Carlos Condit and Matt Brown.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's up. I think it's up there close to like Khabib Tony numbers.
Twice.
I think it's like 3 or 4 times.
Okay,
I could be wrong.
As far as Carlos Condit, 8-9 in the UFC, a 31-13 record. Both of these guys are veterans. Matt Brown, 15-10 in the UFC with a 22-17 record. Carlos Condit, 15 knockouts, 13 submissions. Matt Brown, 14 knockouts, 6 submissions. Carlos Condit has that kind of, we all know him. He's a legend. He's got kind of like Thai boxer, kind of like submission grappling kind of ability. Like he's not really going to take you down, but he can definitely choke you out if you take him down. He can definitely throw up a lot of testy submissions. He can grab legs, he can grab arms, and he can really cause a lot of trouble for you if you do decide to take him down. He's got kind of that Thai boxing style where we say he likes to throw a lot of punches, a lot of unconventional stuff. He's pretty famous for throwing a lot of spinning shots, like a spinning back fist and stuff like that. He likes to throw those elbows too. He likes to throw like an elbow as you step in or a step in elbow. He did like we always like to say, like he did when he did fight Tyron Woodley. This was a couple fights ago. How many years ago was his fight against Tyron Woodley? I would like to know. Like how many fights ago or how many years ago was his fight against Woodley?
Not at the top of my head. I'm not sure actually.
His fight against Woodley was in 2014. Yeah. So he tore his ACL in that fight. So he's ever since then he's kind of he's still been very good, you know what I mean? But like Carlos Condit's getting a little bit towards the end of his career. I think so is Matt Brown. Obviously Carlos Condit, former WEC champ, former UFC champion, UFC interim champion, sorry. In all of his appearances and his WEC and UFC appearances, yeah, Brett said it's been scheduled twice before. All the way back in 2013 was the first time. As far as being taken down, Carlos Condit, like what we're gonna see here, and like I think in this fight, like what a lot of people are thinking, especially with Matt Brown's skills and his ability to take people down, not only punch but take people down and keep them there and punch them while they're there. Carlos Condit is no one wants to stand with him. He's been taken down in 18 of his 20 WEC and UFC appearances. He's constantly getting taken down. You know what I mean? People don't want to stand with him. The natural born killer will find a way to get you hurt, smell the blood, and come after you. As far as his last win, it was against Court McGee. Carlos Condit snapped a 5-fight losing streak. He was fighting top of the name guys, Chisea, Oliveira, Magny, when he was in his prime, like when he was doing very well. Robbie Lawler, you know what I mean? And some people would even argue that, Carlos Condit has never been the same since the Robbie Lawler fight. So, I mean, to snap that 5-fight losing streak against Court McGee wasn't the most impressive thing, but honestly, I think it gave us all hope as far as Carlos Condit coming back as a fighter, as far as being, a contender, being someone that's able to take on some decent competition in the UFC. He was kind of ranging McGee a lot of that fight. He was kind of using lots of his movement, kind of changing pace midway through his strikes. He ended up dropping McGee with a beautiful combo, ending in the right hook as the buzzer went for the first round. And then throughout the rest of the fight, he pretty much dominated. He was pretty much pushing McGee, chasing him down after he saw he had cut him. He showed a lot of good leg kicks. He needs to be able to check leg kicks like we're gonna see. Like we didn't see that very well in the Court McGee fight. As far as Chiesa, this was Chiesa moving up to fight Carlos Condit, and he looked like an animal in that fight. He was kind of primed up and ready to go in the welterweight division, ready to move up, ready to get a big win. He was clinched and taken to the ground by Chiesa. We know him as a very good grappler. He was continuously getting tripped and taken down, not being able to break this body lock up against the fence. He was able to shoot up an armbar at the perfect time, very, very close. He was able also to get a reverse triangle and a leg lock, all very good to end that first round. Chiesa ended up getting him in a one-handed Kimura, basically, right at the beginning of the second round, causing Carlos Condit to tap. As far as he fought Alex Oliveira, and he took a submission loss to him as well. Alex Oliveira, the cowboy we know him as, he kind of mixes it up. He has more of a well-rounded style as well. He was striking very well with Alex Oliveira, but he got body locked again and got taken down 2 minutes into the first round. He was able to reverse and start working some elbows and punches. Condit was able to take his back and look for a rear naked choke. Condit was pressing and getting taken down. Carlos Condit went for a kick and got taken down off of his kick. He then kind of, people think, and I think he did get caught with kind of like an up kick. And then Oliveira got up, kind of saw that he was wobbled, and he was able to kind of get a deep guillotine on Condit when Condit kind of was, wasn't really there. And he was able to choke Condit out. As far as Matt Brown goes, like I said, 14 knockouts, 6 submissions, 5-10 in the UFC, 22-17 in MMA. He's coming off of a TKO loss to Miguel Baeza. Brown was pushing the action right off the bat, kind of walking him down with those good hard shots. We've kind of seen Matt Brown come into his shoes more of as a puncher and kind of want to do that a lot more against people, which is, when you go in as a puncher and as a guy who's trying to walk people down like he was against Baeza, and he did hit Baeza with a couple of good shots, but he was also hit with a couple good low kicks. And as he was hit with those low kicks, like his leg and his foot was kind of compromised, so he kind of started swinging for the fences. He did rock Baeza, like I said, hit him with hard shots and an elbow against the fence. He was sitting hard in the pocket, flat on his feet, as Baeza basically chopped away at his legs, and they would then trade punches. Baeza then sits down Matt Brown, and then even at the end of the first round, Matt Brown was kind of like, you could see it in his fatigue. Like he was already showing that stamina. He wasn't looking too good. Like I was like, oh, I don't know how much longer this fight's going to end up going. He was then able to end up catching Brown with a left hook as Brown charged in and ate a leg kick and just ended up sleeping Matt Brown. As far as the Ben Saunders win, that was a knockout win for Matt Brown. He was walking him down kind of like he was walking down Baeza. He was getting them to the ground, and as Saunders almost locks up and has a triangle on him, like Saunders was basically looking for triangles for a lot of that fight. Saunders wasn't able to end that fight with the triangle, which ended up in him just getting him basically kind of getting just pounded out for a lot of that fight and kind of getting finished on his back with elbows and punches. As far as the Diego Sanchez fight, that was all the way back in 2017. There's not really much to say about it. Both guys kind of just pressing. He kind of just walked him down, put his power on him, and we've all seen the infamous Matt Brown elbow that slept Diego Sanchez face first on the canvas. So I don't know. In reality, I kind of see this fight going either one of two ways. Brown is going to be able to either take Condit down and hold him there, beating him on the ground throughout the fight. I think this is because Condit will be a little bit too much dangerous at range and using his leg kicks that we've seen against people like Baeza. It's late enough in Brown's career that his movement isn't exactly where it was or where it should be. He does have the power to still hurt you, that's for sure, but definitely less movement based than he used to be, and he just kind of walks you down on a straight line with some solid hooks. I think this Condit fight will be the one of him try to take Condit down. That's for sure. The question is, can Condit avoid the takedown, or is Condit able to wrap up a submission against Matt Brown? That's another good question. But I think as far as him working off his back, I don't know if he's going to be able to catch Matt Brown. I think this fight's definitely going to be a war and will be, the closing chapter on probably someone's career, if not both of their careers. They're both legends in the sport and legends in the UFC. I think as far as this fight goes, though, I think I'm going to have to take Carlos Condit. I think that I think he's going to actually just have that little bit of extra. If Matt Brown does go in there and just go for a heavy takedown wrestling game, like, he can obviously kind of take Condit down and keep him there. But if Condit's smart about this fight and he knows what he's getting into, he's going to be able to move. He's going to need to be able to break that body lock and going to be able to get out and put shots on Matt Brown. But I don't know. Something about this just makes me want to pick Condit. I don't know. What about you, Dan? Dan?
Oh, sorry. I forgot I was muted there. Honestly, this fight's kind of too tough to pick for me. I'm leaning a bit towards the natural born killer, but I don't know. I kind of feel like we should just sit back and enjoy this one. Two guys in the twilight of their careers. There's too many variables, I think, in this.
Yeah, I probably won't be putting any money on this fight. This is too.
But I kind of think, yeah, if we see the Condit. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was gonna say just two dogs at the end of their lives. You know what I mean? Lives, careers.
Yeah, but honestly, we've seen some pretty good glimpses, like the Diego Sanchez the Matt Brown we saw against Diego Sanchez and Ben Saunders was obviously very, very impressive, and he's still out there. Like, it's not as bad as somebody like Matt Brown, obviously just turning 40, and I think Condit's around 36, 37 or something like that. But like, obviously, yeah, it's in terms of cage time and the amount of time they spend in the UFC fighting the top level guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, obviously they're on their way up. But this is a great fight for both of them, I think, and should be great. Should be a great bout. I think I think they're both skilled enough everywhere that it'll probably go the distance and it'll be a close decision.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be a close decision. Like I said, if he's just able to keep that takedown and Matt Brown kind of off of him. But if Matt Brown wants to sit there and exchange and throw hands, I think that Carlos Condit's going to have a lot of success. As far as for this main event goes, it's been a long time. We've been talking here for a while. As far as for the main event goes, this is it, people. This is what we're all paying to see or not paying to see because we're getting it for free on ABC. You know what I mean? This is kind of what we're going to set the year off with, cap the year off for the first card of the year off with, and kind of make a statement with as far as, this is how all the fights are going to be this year. You know what I mean? This is the kind of guys we want out there. And Max Holloway, number 1 ranked, Calvin Kattar, number 6 ranked.
I'm having a bowl for this one.
You go ahead. Max Holloway, 5'11", 69-inch reach. Calvin Kattar, also 5'11", with a 72-inch reach. Max Holloway, 18-6 in the UFC with a 21-6 record, 10 KOs, 2 submissions. Calvin Kattar, 11 KOs, 2 submissions, 6-2 in the UFC with a 22-4 record. Max Holloway has had 8 career title fight appearances now, 10 fights into his career. I think a lot of us remember he did lose a fight to Conor McGregor. He's also gone up before and fought the likes of Dustin Poirier at heavier weights. This is a kind of guy that just is a scrapper, a fighter. As true as it comes, Max Holloway is a fighter.
Natural born killer.
I think he's just one of those guys. I didn't even see Jelly say have one for me, sweetie. I think Max Holloway's like one of those
Cheers,
guys.
Jelly.
Max Holloway's just like one of those guys that just brings something different. And we've seen, and me and Dan are going to talk about it probably in a little bit more depth. The Volkanovski, like the rematches, like Dan, I know you probably want to talk about both of those. So maybe, because I don't want to just talk over those two. I want me and you to talk definitely about the Volkanovski rematch. I'm going to kind of graze over it really quick. I'll go over the first one.
So wait, we're just starting at the Volkanovski fights, or are we going earlier on Holloway at all?
Why, you want to go to like Aldo and stuff? We could talk for hours about Holloway. That's the whole problem.
No, you're right. We'll just
We could
say,
probably
like,
talk for hours
going
about
in,
Holloway.
Yeah, I think we should just touch on the fact that, like, going into the Volkanovski bouts, obviously we saw him to lose the one bout to Poirier when he went up to lightweight, and obviously there was all the problems originally. And remember, he wanted to get the short notice fight against Khabib, and they made him medically stop cutting weight because it wasn't safe anymore, and obviously that was a tough one. But no, before that fight, we saw Max Holloway's potential greatest UFC featherweight of all time, and obviously there's still definitely that argument to be made. But I'm just saying we just saw him as an absolute world beater, and there are a lot of questions like who's going to be the one to beat him. But obviously it's a completely different perspective after the two Volkanovski fights.
Yeah, because I don't think anyone wrote in the Dustin fight as really being a loss. You know what I mean? I don't think people were like, oh, like he lost that fight. You know what I mean? Like he went in.
This guy's he's still never been knocked down. Like despite all this, never been knocked down ever.
Yeah.
Which is an absolute insane stat considering how much damage he took in that Poirier fight. Like, make the argument for the greatest, like best chin in the UFC. Like,
absolutely.
He's taken some shots, like from like especially more so in the first Volkanovski fight, but like in that Poirier fight in particular.
Absolutely.
Yeah. McGregor hit him a little bit too, but.
Yeah. And like you were saying, like we could talk, and like I was saying, we could talk for hours. Like he's fought the cream of the crop. He's fought guys like Cub Swanson, Charles Oliveira, Jeremy Stevens, Lamas, Pettis, Aldo twice. Like watching those Aldo fights, like that's when
he forced Aldo out.
Yeah, that's when Aldo was still like I had kind of written off, you know what I mean, like any other losses that Aldo has had, and I had still held Aldo as kind of that number one guy, like you were talking about. I held Aldo as that number one.
Well, yeah, like I said, he literally forced him out of the featherweight division because, yes, well, I look at Aldo now. Still, he's going to compete. Just competed recently, like relatively in the for the bantamweight belt, and like contender there now. Like Aldo, I think is that how old is Aldo now?
I think he's only 33.
Low 30s. Low 30s, yeah.
32.
Yeah, Aldo's still obviously very, very legit, and Holloway made him look like a chump. Like obviously there was the McGregor fight where there was obviously so much in leading up to that fight with McGregor absolutely living in Aldo's brain and then just starching him in the first round. But yeah, like Aldo, I think it's even more like what Holloway did over those two fights against Aldo was even more kind of like not embarrassing, I would say, but like even more of a statement saying, yeah, I could no longer be a champion in this division. Like, I can't compete with this guy.
It's great. It was a crazy turning of the tide, and that's kind of when we crown, Max Holloway for what he was. You know what I mean?
Well, then we did it to Ortega. Oh my god.
Yeah, and then what he did to Ortega, setting that record of strikes. I mean, what was Ortega doing in there, walking at him like fucking like a crash test dummy? We don't know. We'll never know. But yeah,
Ortega
loves his hands.
Yeah, obviously we can see a completely different Ortega now, and like apparently, like, are you saying they've pretty much just said he's fighting for the title now? Apparently,
they're saying Ortega's going to take the title fight now.
Yeah. I think if we see, I don't know, obviously we're going to get to it, but like if we see a good enough Max, I think that's more deserving. But like, obviously 100%. that was an amazing looking Ortega that we saw against Korean Zombie. That was an awesome performance.
Absolutely.
Okay, Pat, I'll be right back. You take over for obviously.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. Yeah, so what I was saying there is, as I was kind of just going in to break down and start talking about these two fights right before, right before fighting. Right before he ended up taking the win against Frankie Edgar. He had that good decision win. He was still on that track. He was still kind of clearing through people, other than taking that loss to Dustin Poirier, which he went up to go take him, which he went up in weight to go take that fight. So it doesn't really count on his, overall spectrum of losses in his featherweight division. He then went up and took on, like I said, we're probably going to talk about this for 10 minutes. Alexander Volkanovski, who's now the champion of the division. Alexander Volkanovski once fought at welterweight at one point. Alexander Volkanovski was once 240 pounds. So a guy like Max Holloway with a skinny frame and stuff like that, going in there against the stacked Volkanovski, as far as that first fight went, man, it was kind of a sad sight to see, because as far as that first fight went, it was a unanimous decision loss against Max Holloway. That Alexander Volkanovski got the win. If I'm explaining the fight a little bit, he was kind of walking Volko down, being Volkanovski, walking Volko down, touching him, even using a good leg kick. But Volko was having more success with the hands and the leg kicks. He was battering that lead leg from Holloway. You could see visible redness, visible swelling on the front of that front leg. He was using a very wide stance in the first fight against Volkanovski, kind of more of a set in his ways, less movement style based, less kind of looking to get out of the way and move and change up a little bit, more so set and kind of set looking to throw. He looked very visibly tired starting round 3 against Volkanovski in that first fight. And I don't think it ended up getting very much better for for Holloway in that fight. He wasn't landing very much, and he wasn't landing in bunches like he normally does. But like I said, Volkanovski being the guy that once fought at welterweight, an ex 240 pound guy playing rugby, he was able to take all those shots from Volkanovski. And like Dan said, Max Holloway's never been dropped. One of the best chins in the UFC, if not the best chin in the UFC. As far as the rematch went, perfect timing. I'm right talking about the rematch now. I kind of just talked about that first fight. Anything you want to talk about from the first fight?
I was just saying, what the welterweight fight that Volkanovski had, that was just like one of his first MMA bouts in New Zealand, correct? Right? Or Australia?
Yep.
Yeah, but it was just that's my favorite. It's just going to look at all those. You got for your video this weekend? Oh, never mind. That doesn't mean. I'm so high. I was gonna say. Get some video or photos of him, well, the old rugby photos, but next, when he defends the belt next, whoever that's against, you got to make sure you include some of those, because those are always, those are awesome. Okay, yeah, let's get into the rematch, but I'll just say, the first fight we just kind of saw Volkanovski come in with an amazing game plan to beat Max Holloway.
Yeah.
And he did. I don't think there's, obviously, we're going to get into the stuff about the second fight, but that first fight was just maybe Max not looking at it strictly enough, but yeah, no, I'll credit to Volkanovski for that one, because hell of a performance.
Absolutely, and honestly, in the second fight, I'm just gonna go through my talking points, and then me and you can kind of break it down. Kind of started out with Max closing the distance, as Volko was trying to start that same fight off the same way he ended the first fight, which was chopping the legs. Tried to chop those legs. Max was using a different stance this time. He was kind of a little bit more narrow. He was moving around a little bit more. He was kind of able to gauge distance, and he was able to step in and out of range a little bit better in this fight. And I think that's what won him a lot of those earlier rounds, regardless of if you want to talk about knockdowns.
Yeah.
He looked almost in a flow state in that fight, is what I found. And in comparison to just watching the other fight before, he really did look like he was just in this state of which, Volko wasn't going to be the guy to beat him this time. And he was able to land beautiful uppercuts and hooks as Volko came in. He didn't allow Volko to find any rhythm, as he was able to mix up the strikes. He just had that whole different variety that Max Holloway will throw 10 different strikes at you, you know what I mean? And it's not going to be the same order ever, you know what I mean? And he just continues to do that. he was able to drop Volko with an uppercut as Volko came in and kind of rushed into it at the end of round 2. Like Max, like we've seen him always do from a lot of people, he eats shots, you know what I mean? And he can eat shots. And like I said, in the first fight, he was able to eat shots from Volko. He was able to show that in the second fight again, not really getting wobbled or anything in that fight, in my opinion. Max was arguably up 3-0, leading with the significant strikes in every round and getting 2 knockdowns in the first round. This was 3-0 going into the 4th round, and this is kind of when, you know, the judging and everything kind of changed, you know what I mean? Or our judging, or what people may have seen, or some people may have seen it as Volko winning that 3rd round. But in my opinion, and I think in Dan's opinion, I think Max was arguably up 3-0 going into the 4th round. You know what I mean? I think he had those 3 rounds in the bank. Like I said, he was leading in significant strikes in every round, and he had the 2 knockdowns.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's any dispute about those first 2 rounds. Every single judge gave Max Holloway those first 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Those were all, I think those were all pretty clear. Like, he was looking beautiful. Obviously, he was eating some of the leg kicks, but at the same time, like it's not the best. It's not the best strategy. Like as the Boon Man will tell you, like sometimes, like some forms when you're doing Muay Thai, they say, well, somebody leg kicks you, you're giving one right back, right? Like that's one way to do it. Like if you're not an expert at timing them, or like when you don't have as thick legs as a guy like Max Holloway, and you could still injure yourself by trying to check a leg kick like that. Yeah, that's the way he went this time. Obviously, he was a bit more stunned by him in the first fight, but this fight he was giving him right back. Sometimes Volkanovski was hitting him with 2, and he was hitting him with 2 right back. Like, yeah, that's definitely the route he was taking. He wasn't going like, and obviously, like in Lily Bisping, Lily was just watching this fight earlier tonight, as you know, and obviously, like you were probably yelling at it during the fight. Bisping the entire time, like, well, you could see so much more redness on Holloway's leg. Like, Mike, what the hell are you talking about? Like, man, like he was up obviously in the numbers of leg kicks because, well, obviously that was just one of Volkanovski's strategies again when he was so successful the last time, and like a guy can do. Obviously, we see those videos like Volkanovski. He has that special pole that his coach built him. Remember that video? And like,
I like that thing.
Every single day, I'm just kicking the hell out of this thing, hardening up my shins, and obviously you're gonna have a gameplay where they stalk your guy and you're on the inside like that. Of course, you're gonna do that. But no, yeah, we saw them pretty much trade that way, and I think in the 3rd round it was Volkanovski had 1 unsuccessful takedown attempt, or he he got him down, but Max popped up immediately. Like there was no advancement.
Yeah,
so
I think so.
Under the new system, that literally is supposed to be meaningless. But yeah, we only had, I think there was, and Max had the slight advantage on the significant strikes, if I'm not wrong, but it was very close.
Yeah,
but I think only 1 judge gave that to Holloway.
Yeah, and then pretty much in the 4th round, Max was kind of standing in the pocket more, moving less, getting clipped with more leg kicks, and he was just kind of trying to walk Volko down. I think that he was trying to more so show that he was dictating that fight and that he was winning that fight as far as aggression went, when in reality that might have been kind of what the bringing less movement into the 4th, and I'm sure he was tired, was kind of what did him in. As far as if he kept circling, kept moving the way he was earlier in the fight, like I think it would have been a no-brainer if he was able to kind of keep that same rhythm that he had in those first couple of rounds and kind of bring that and find that again in the 4th. But he kind of chose to kind of switch it up, like I said, stand in front of him a little bit more. Max did stun Volkanovski with a good uppercut, and I don't think a lot of people were even talking about that because he had already dropped him twice, and he landed arguably one of the most significant punches in the later 2 rounds. But like you were saying, Dan, actually the takedown that Volkanovski got was either in the 3rd or the 4th round. I'm not sure exactly.
He got I think 2. I don't know how many he got in the 4th, but I think 4th is an undisputed pretty much 10-9 for Volkanovski. He's I think he had him around 10 significant strikes, and he had he never really kept Holloway down. That's what I
I know, that's what I was saying.
So technically we are not even supposed to be counting those, but whatever. Say what you will about what he got about in the clinch in the lead up to that. yeah, but definitely he won the 4th round. But 10-9. I think we need to talk about the fact that like those. What's up, Talk MMA Live?
Yeah, what's up, brother?
Feel free. We're gonna probably after we're done this fight, we'll probably open up the panel, right, Pat? You're saying,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Feel free
I'm
if you
gonna
wanna
open up the panel after this a little bit. Anyone want to come in and talk some MMA? Want to talk about the card? We can absolutely do that. I'm just kind of trying to get the actual work out of the way as far as me and Dan and me going over these
with LJ. I'm sure.
Yeah. As far as rumor has it, Tan has one of those kicking poles in his room.
Man, I should get one of those. I should build one of those. Search
yeah, you get kicked out. As far as Calvin Kattar goes, let's look at him a little bit. Since we've talked about
no.
You want to Steve Owen? Okay.
No, okay. We got to figure. I was gonna say in the first 2 rounds of how does I feel like nobody even really knows how scoring even is supposed to work.
Bro,
because he got a knockdown in both of those rounds and he was clearly winning them the entire time. So is that not the definition of a 10-8 round? Like, you don't give him either one of those 10-8? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, what is the line?
Bro, I've asked that question a million times.
We just got super stingy guys out there. Like, I don't know. It's hard to say. I didn't think you can't call it a robbery when it's that close, especially like. But I think he won that round. I won the first 3 rounds of that fight.
No, I never said it was a robbery. Yeah.
It's just so tough that because they don't get to see the stats, right? And that's the toughest thing. But like, I don't know.
Well, like I always say, man.
Holloway shouldn't be getting any disrespect. That's all. At the end of the day, I think that's what the conclusion we should be taking away from those fights more than anything.
Yes. Because
the guy, like, you should not be saying that Holloway has taken a step down or anything. Like,
no.
Obviously, he's had a decent career. Obviously, already had 24 fights in the UFC. He's not even 30 yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's 29.
He's 29.
He's got a lot of miles on his body already. He doesn't want to. You can tell he doesn't want to fight forever with things like he's got all his streaming and everything, and like. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to. He's proven a lot already. He doesn't have to do too much more. We can go into that later. But no, Max Holloway is still. He deserves to be the number 1 contender because he's very, very, very skilled, and should be in his athletic prime, despite the damage he's taken.
Absolutely. As far as let's move on to Calvin Kattar here for a minute. Calvin Kattar, like I said, number 6 ranked, 5'11", 72-inch reach. 6-2 in the UFC with a 22-4 record, 11 knockouts, 2 submissions. He himself, he's never been dropped or in the UFC or finished, has he?
I don't know about dropped.
I don't think that
I don't know. I feel like I'd probably say he's been dropped at some point.
Who was the guy that did that? I'm just trying to figure that out for me real quick while I'm talking.
I don't know.
Just figure it out while I'm talking.
Okay.
He's gonna look to time Max coming in as he's throwing the combos. Like Max, like I said, likes to come in with the flurry of punches, with the flurry of strikes, kind of crowd you a little bit sometimes when he's not picking those shots from the distance. And I think that probably Kattar's gonna try and time him coming in to try and land that shot and probably take him out. Like we've seen with Calvin Kattar, he does have the tendency to come out a little bit slower as far as not having a high output in that first round or having that sense of urgency that we might want to see. There's not a problem in this fight because this fight is going to be 5 rounds, so Calvin Kattar can pretty much go at whatever pace he wants and probably will go at a little bit of a slower pace to start the fight. But Holloway is himself a kind of a slower pace starter fighter, so it's almost a match made in heaven for these two to be able to kind of both get the rhythm, both get their groove, and kind of start teeing off on each other, which is I think what we're going to see, or we're both going to see. At least we're going to see a war. I think we're going to see fireworks. That's the best way of putting it. Like I was saying earlier last night on the podcast, if you guys aren't aware, I do a podcast every Tuesday now, Combat Canon with DT3 the Boon Man, and that will be on his channel every Tuesday night. Come check us out. We'll be definitely talking about the aftermath of this card and talking about some MMA news and stuff like that. I was saying, giving a shout out to Jake Manini, the striking coach of Calvin Kattar, because he's produced some fantastic strikers. Guys like Calvin Kattar, guys like Rob Font, guys like Rodriguez, like those guys have like bring some different level striking and different level boxing when you look at it and how much they've improved. As far as Dan Ige, that being Calvin Kattar's last fight, it was a unanimous decision win. That was a huge fight. Dan Ige hadn't lost in a bunch of fights. He was on a win streak. Obviously, Calvin Kattar was on a bit of a win streak himself since the Zabit fight, but one fight win streak. But he looked to keep that going. Obviously, couldn't take a second loss. There was a lot on the line in that fight, and I think both guys came, ready to brawl. As far as that fight went, it started, like I said, slow with a lot more feints to find distance and timing to counter. He was using his length to throw good punches and a beautiful guard to block shots that were incoming. He was able to throw lots of punches with a high velocity and no fat on them. Like I said, he's got that straight right bullet hand. Like he's able to just throw it right down the pipe. He was able to really show some excellent body shots as far as stand-up goes, as far as boxing goes on the hands and feet. Really able to throw those shots and really slip down to the body and land that good body shot. That kidney shot, like that, man, like fucking some of those shots he landed, I said, wow, I'm really surprised Ige hasn't gone down from a body shot.
Yeah, he wasn't really throwing the body shots with that. Maybe it was something that they were just seeing through the footage. Maybe Ige's guard was very high or something like that, and that's why they're targeting the body. But he was ripping those almost like, honestly, maybe it was kind of almost how like Zabit kind of throw like those beautiful textbook body shots. Like maybe he was kind of even drawn from that. That's how good of a competitor.
Yeah,
but did you touch on the fact that Kattar's nose was like pretty? I don't know if it was broken, but injured going into that fight.
I believe it was. I was going to talk about it in the fight that it happened in, but I guess since I'm going the wrong way. I should next week, people. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go with the third most, and then we'll build up to most recent. You know what I mean? But as far as MMA talk MMA live. You remember the Ige fight? Yeah. In that fight, like I thought, honestly, it was a very close fight. But he showed good cardio, good patience, picked his shots well. He had 7 takedowns defended in that fight, showing beautiful balance. He landed a lot of good shots, a good step in elbow on Ige. Ige was bleeding like crazy. Both guys, I think, were cut up a little bit. He will crowd you and look to finish. He can do work on the ground, but obviously he prefers to stay on his hands and just bang it out from there. He didn't use the step. He didn't use the step in leg kick. We saw it once or twice in that Ige fight, and it looked really good, and it really ripped up Ige's lead leg, but he didn't end up throwing that much more. As far as the Jeremy Stephens fight, that was a knockout win. Showed his beautiful.
Well, sorry, Pat. I was just gonna say on the leg kicks, because like it was kind of, and I never figured out what the knock. I couldn't figure out if he ever got knocked down. But the only one that could maybe, if Renato Moicano ever knocked him down because of the leg kicks, because he really.
Yeah, but
really hurt.
I know you're probably right, but I don't think
I don't know if he did.
I don't
know if he did. I'm just saying if he ever did, it would have been in that fight because that's the only fight we've ever really seen him like, extremely hurt, like compromised. You know what I mean? And like some people kind of thought that was maybe like a technique to beat Kattar, and maybe that was the recipe to get him out of there. But I think in the Zabit fight, he started trading back with him. He's still not great at checking them, and so that's why I was kind of confused that Ige wasn't throwing them more. But I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't really want to get into the leg kicking battle. You know what I mean?
Yep, I could actually.
And it was kind of weird. Yeah, it's kind of interesting considering we were just talking about Holloway and how much of a factor that those leg kicks were in the.
I know, right?
Volkanovski fight. So like, it'll be interesting to see if like maybe they'll be like, fuck it, how about we just don't fuck each other's legs up this fight. Just agree to that. Because like, I think neither guy's great at checking them. So like, if they want to go in there and just shred each other's legs, it'll probably happen. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, neither guy loves throwing them, but they can both throw them if they want to. Like Holloway in that second fight was throwing the hell out of those leg kicks. He was trading those back.
And like I said, in the Stephens fight, he showed that he's got a good chin. He took a lot of good shots from Stephens. This is when Stephens was kind of on his terror, kind of rolling through people. Stephens actually implemented a good game plan. This is kind of like how I would write out if like you're a guy like Jeremy Stephens, how are you going to beat Calvin Kattar? Oh, crowd him and start leg kicking the fuck out of him and really start, limiting the amount of movement and putting it on him a little bit. When we've seen from Kattar is when he sets, he is able to throw. He throws in bunches, and he likes to set, like I said, likes to set his feet, stay flat-footed on his feet when he's throwing. Kattar had his lead leg hurt, I believe, in the Jeremy Stephens fight from those hard kicks from Jeremy Stephens. He was able to set his feet as Stephens was standing still and hit him with a hard straight right. He was using good low leg kicks throughout the later part of the fight. Once his leg was already kind of hurt a little bit, he's kind of started to trade him back, like you said, the Muay Thai kind of philosophy. As far as the end of that fight, he ignited him with a huge elbow. As both men were stepping in to finish, Jeremy Stephens kind of just hit him with that massive elbow and then finished up with more elbows on the ground. Kattar finished Stephens with the massive elbow and then just kind of went to the ground and ended up finishing it with more elbows from there. As far as the Zabit fight, that was kind of just a fight where we saw Zabit kind of using a bunch of angles, Kattar not kind of starting quick enough. Zabit got into rhythm a lot quicker than Kattar did, and Zabit's rhythm is very unorthodox. He throws a lot of weird shit, throws a lot of spinning shit, likes to mix it up, is very technical in the way he does things, and Kattar wasn't able to kind of crowd him and get into the pocket with him and able to throw successfully. He started to come on more in the third as he started to pressure in third and throw more. But he ended up chasing him and not cutting him off as much, so he ended up losing that unanimous decision loss, which I can pretty much agree with. As far as I see this fight definitely being one.
Sorry to just say that one. Zabit kind of pretty much did him Dagestani style, which I refer to as pretty much dicing the guy up as best you can the first 2 rounds.
Yeah. And
then dancing around for the third, because that's pretty much exactly what he did. Or maybe, I don't know, that's maybe it's disrespectful to say Dagestani style, maybe like Tuhugov style when Tuhugov fought Dawodu. But to a greater degree, because I think Zabit, to as great as Kattar is, and he's very solid at that point in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Several UFC fights up until that time, but Zabit's just that good, and Zabit's technique on the feet is world class, and the range and the questions he posed in the first 2 rounds was a bit too much. And you're right, he did start a bit too slow.
Yep.
But yeah, like in that third round, like if that was a 5-round fight, and shout out to LJ, he said this before. If a 5-round fight, Zabit would have won that. Sorry, not Zabit. Sorry, Kattar. My apologies.
Yep.
And I agree. Zabit was fading. I think Zabit actually connected to the Ponzinibbio. It's not staff, but I think Zabit said he had staff in the lead up to that.
Yeah,
I don't want to say like Zabit has no gas tank because of that fight, but just in that specific scenario, I think.
Yeah, I would.
Kattar had potential, and he didn't get he got touched up, and he showed he could still keep going.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I see this fight. I'm going to just do the little wrap up for this fight, and then we can keep talking about it, obviously. I see this fight definitely being one of the fights, like I said earlier, that's going to be really a pace setter for the UFC as far as showing people the top-tier talent in the UFC. Like a guy like Calvin Kattar can be ranked number 6, and he's a guy who's pretty much, if wins this fight, he's able to go and contend for the belt. I think that if he's able to get past Holloway, he should be in contention for a title shot, but we will see. I think the power from Kattar is evident that we've seen it. We've seen him be able to land hard shots, whether they're elbows, whether they're right hands, on people that can hurt them, stun them, and put them out. He used some of the crispest boxing we've seen in the UFC, and he has a right hand he's able to cork back and unleash like a missile. He particularly likes to set his feet when throwing his hard combos and body shots, which can be to a disadvantage to him. You know what I mean, for a mover. He really likes to sit down on the back foot when he's looking to lead, when he's looking to land big. Like I said, more skilled guys can definitely see this and can definitely move around this. When we deal with movement-heavy opponents or guys who are willing to bring the fight to him and make him fight going backwards, he has a harder time finding success. Like when in the Stephens fight, he had to pick openings and land big in that case. It was that step and elbow. With a guy like Kattar, you have to constantly be feinting him and varying up the tacks, like we saw with Zabit. If you keep Kattar moving backwards and worrying about shots you're sending his way, then it pretty much leaves him with like less chances to find that big combo or that big opening that he's looking for. People have had success attacking that lead leg, like we've seen. Just like people have had tons of success attacking the lead leg of Holloway's. I think that Kattar is more reluctant to throw a solid lead leg kick, but it would be smart for him to do that, as it would slow the lateral movement of Holloway down, which was what we saw primarily in that last fight from Holloway. If Holloway can keep moving and reacting and throwing, he will win this fight without a doubt. I think that Holloway's got far more tools in the toolbox, like I said earlier, to be able to confuse Kattar, to be able to vary up with Kattar and throw at Kattar. I think that he does need to move. He can't stand in the pocket and win this fight. Standing in that boxing range and that boxing pocket and outboxing Calvin Kattar, I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening. I think that Calvin Kattar would greatly come on in the later rounds, but I do think that Max Holloway is going to employ a lot of that lateral movement, a lot of that moving around, a lot of those varying up the kicks and the punches, and then maybe choosing his timing, choosing his openings to kind of unleash those flurries. And I don't think that even if Calvin Kattar maybe does clip him, I don't think that Calvin Kattar's got enough to maybe put Max Holloway out. Like we said, possibly one of the best chins in the UFC. I think therefore I'm going with Max Holloway via decision. What about you?
Man, I've been all over the place on this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like over the last week, because obviously we've had just like, obviously they've been starving us in the lead up to this card. Like, they're treating us like animals out here, like starving us and then giving us like the filet mignon fight night on ABC first time. But this fight could not be harder to pick. Like, I think it's pretty much. Like, obviously anything could happen, but I want to say this fight's guaranteed to go 5 rounds. Like, I don't see how Kattar can finish him. If Poirier can't finish him at lightweight, like, because we got to consider, like, it's not like a Holloway that got a chance to, like, build up to 155 and they would really build up his body and get ready. Like, he was kind of, like, in his classic Holloway attitude. He's like, like, fuck it, let me go up and we'll fight him. I don't care. I think I can beat him. And, like, he almost, like, on a better night, I feel like, it's not like it's not like he got demolished. Definitely Poirier was the better man that night, but yeah, obviously he was a contender there, and man, I just think Kattar poses so many problems. His hands are so nice. I feel like I want to say he's the hungrier guy in that fight. Like, he's got a lot more to prove. Like, he's the older guy at 32, but we got to factor in things like he had those multiple layoffs due to injury. Like, but I think it was like 2017, 2018 or something like that, right, Pat?
Yeah.
And like, so like he does. Obviously, he's got only had 8 fights in the UFC, 6-2. Like, he's got less miles on him on Holloway. But like at the same time, like, I don't see him finishing him, no matter how, like. Even though he could potentially be one of the more accurate fighters he's ever fought, and Kattar does have that killer instinct, I think there'll be moments where he'll be able to hurt him, maybe not finish him, that'll win him some rounds. And I think I'm gonna go with Kattar.
Okay.
Win by decision.
Okay.
Probably just classic Max style. Might be another split decision.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So now,
let's see if I can bet. Let's see if we can bet that. Actually, let's see.
So honestly, like I don't mind it. I just think that a lot of people are counting Max out. I think
I'm
like
not counting him out. I'm just more so on Kattar. You know, I'm just like, I think he's got the resume. He's got the momentum. Like, a loss is a beat where he learned some things. Like, he's got to start. Like, that first round's gonna be. That first round, like, I don't know who's gonna win that first round, but like, I feel like I feel like Kattar has been getting better at starting quicker than Max has. And I don't know. I just have confidence in that team at what is it? It's like New England Mafia or something like that.
Yes, New England Mafia, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I don't know.
I mean, honestly, like, both guys, like we were saying, both guys.
It's gonna be a great fight.
Both guys never been finished. I don't think either guy has been dropped ever. It's It's definitely going to be one of those fights that's going to, like I said, kick the year off. I appreciate everyone for listening. I'm not ending the stream, but I appreciate everyone for listening, staying through this. This whole video will get posted, and I'll probably throw timestamps in it and cut out